another planet? Is Janet from 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 another planet? It's Diggy, bitch.
Welcome to the late night circus, where you could be a freak on purpose. Under the sheets, you know I'm lurking, you know me. Do you like what you see? Do you like what you see?
It's Diggy, bitch.
Welcome to the late night circus, where you could be a freak on purpose. Under the sheets, you know I'm lurking, you know me. Do you like what you see? Do you like what you see?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
My mic was off. Thank you, Spider-Man, for telling me. So stupid. I don't know why I always do that. But I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining me tonight. The reason I decided to do the late night circus tonight instead of after hours is because, one, I didn't have a guest, but also this whole thing with Kash Patel came across my timeline, and I was really excited that they used DNA to capture this guy, which I'll play the video in a minute. But that he was linked to 2 murders, that supposedly the bodies were found in an area they called the Killing Fields, and outside of Houston area. And I just thought it was very interesting. So when I looked into the whole story behind the Killing Fields, I was like, wow, that is really scary and sad. I have been to Houston a few times, and I've had relatives that worked in the Gulf, like in the 90s, because they worked on some of the rigs, and their girlfriends and other friends of theirs would go, party and stuff, in Galveston and things like that. So I was shocked when I was reading about some of these murders, because it said the Texas Killing Fields is a title that they use to denote the area surrounding Interstate 45, the I-45 corridor southeast of Houston. And it says that since the early 1970s, since then, starting in the 70s, they found 34 bodies so far of women. From ages from I think it was 12 to 25 years old, something like that. But it's just horrible. We talk about human trafficking a lot and stuff, but we hardly ever talk about all the young people or other people that are killed by total strangers, like this. They're just taken from the bus stop, or they're walking home from work, or they work at night at the night shift at the gas station, and they just disappear. There was a show on TV years ago that I used to watch. It was called I Survived, and it basically was about people that were kidnapped, or their ex took them, and beat them and left them for dead, and they ended up living to tell the tale. And what the only sad thing about that is, there's a case going on right now on court TV about some husband who supposedly found text messages his wife was writing to someone she worked with. She didn't have an affair with him, but they were flirting with each other or something. And he ended up taking her up on some cliff for her birthday. They live in Hawaii, and he tried to push her off, and she fought him. And now that he didn't kill her, because he started beating her face in with a rock, and witnesses found her and basically saved her life. But the thing is, now he's up on trial for attempted murder. But the sad thing is, if those 2 ladies hadn't come, she would be dead, and he probably would have got her insurance and got her home and their kids and everything, because he told everybody, oh, I took her there for her birthday and she fell off the cliff. It's just, if you have problems in your relationship, don't go places like that, with the person that might be wanting to kill you. I mean, just don't put yourself in harm's way. I mean, I just see so many people doing stuff like that. Girls getting in cars with total strangers, that they met on Uber, an Uber date or whatever. It's just ridiculous to me that people put themselves at risk like that all the time. It's just, I don't know. This doesn't make sense to me. Get to know somebody first. I mean, I don't know. It's just really sad. But I wanted to start off with this whole thing from Kash Patel that he posted on his X account. It says, the FBI was proud to join our partners announcing a major breakthrough in a decades-old case out of Texas, the infamous Texas Killing Fields case, where the bodies of dozens of murdered women and young girls were discovered in a League City field near Houston from the 1970s through the 90s. James Dolphs Elmore Jr. is in custody and has been indicted for his alleged role in the deaths of 16-year-old Laura Miller and 30-year-old Aubrey Cook, two of the women whose bodies were found in 1986. Thank you to the FBI Houston, partners in Galveston, and the Texas law enforcement for their great work. This is the second major decades-old cold case that the FBI has helped solve in a matter of weeks. As our investigative teams and in-house investigative genetic genealogy team continue to do outstanding work with our partners 24/7. These women and their families deserve justice. This FBI will never stop working to deliver it, and more to come. And I'm going to play the video, but before I do that, I want to say hi to everyone that's in the chat real quick. Let's see, because I saw Lloyd Christmas. Hi, Lloyd. Thank you for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Because Jackie Blue, she's one of my wrenches, and she tries to come early every time because she works at night. So she can't stay very long, but she always tries to come and tell me good luck, to try to help me, boost me a little bit. She's such a sweetheart, and I really appreciate her. But I just want to say thank you to Baby Girl and Lloyd. Let's see who else is in here. Hi, Spider-Man. Thank you very much. And you're the one that told me my mic was off. I really, really appreciate you. And thank you for just hanging out. And says the Kraken Squid. Thank you for stopping in. I really appreciate it. I've got others in here too, but they're not speaking, so I don't know who they are. But I just want to say thank you all for hanging out with me, and hopefully I won't bore you too much. But I thought the story was really interesting, and I'm going to go back and look at the Killing Fields cases and talk, look at some of the stuff in their families and stuff about serial killers and how many serial killers we might have right now, that are loose that they haven't caught. And it's just really scary when you really think about it. People are always talking about their ex threatening them, or their boyfriend because he's jealous, abusive husbands and abusive girlfriends, all this different stuff. But you just don't think about the lurker, that you never see or hear from. Like that guy in Idaho, I think it was Idaho, and he killed those college students that were all living together because he wanted one of the girls, and she dissed him. She didn't even remember him, I'm sure, until he showed up, to kill her in her room. It's just disgusting that these people are among us. And there was a huge case a couple years ago that they used DNA. Just like I said, I did a DNA test like 5 years ago with it's called Heritage, and it looks up your family tree basically, and it's got all these things on you can research. And I found like 7 generations back on my father's side and a little over 6 on my mother's. And it was so interesting, all the interesting stuff I found out. But I signed a paper on there saying that they could use my DNA to do this, like they did with the genealogy, to find this guy. So what they do is they put the DNA in of the person they don't know who they are, that's been from a murder, like one of these old murders. And then it goes through all these genealogy websites where people have willingly put their DNA in there, like me, because I haven't killed anyone, and I'm praying that no one in my immediate family, like cousins and aunts and uncles and stuff like that, or grandparents, would be involved in any kind of this murders or whatever. But if they were, and my DNA helps them capture someone like they did the Golden State Killer, then so be it. I mean, that's technology, and I like technology, especially when it helps solve crimes for this kind of sick fuckers. Excuse the language, but I mean it. These people need to be put in prison and never let out. And the one thing I can tell you right now is that all the stuff I looked at, there's been more serial killers in California than any other state, and I wonder why that is. I think it's because they're soft on crime. You commit murders like Ted Bundy, the Green River Killer and stuff. Guess what? They don't kill you in California. So you can just kill as many people as you want, and you just get a life retirement in California, and they pay for you 3 meals a day and a place to sleep, and probably get on the internet and have phone calls. You might even get conjugal visits. You know what I mean? California is the weakest on criminals I've ever seen. Certain states like Arkansas and Texas and a few others. Now, Texas has been kind of wimpy about it lately, but they had the death penalty. So, and they don't keep you on there for 25, 30 years either. They're pretty quick about saying, well, you've been on here for so many years, you've exhausted your 3 or whatever it is that they let you beg to see if you can get off, or they can find out that you got whipped when you were a kid, or your mama slapped your face, or whatever it is. Heck, I got my ass beat by my parents because I was a dumbass and did dumb shit. But guess what? It didn't make me want to go out and beat other people because my parents disciplined me. I mean, we are some of these states are just pathetic about how wimpy they are at treating serial killers and rapists and murderers and child molesters. It's sickening to me. And I hope that stuff like this, when it starts coming out, that we can start prosecuting people and really punishing people. Because I'm telling you right now, they go to California to do this stuff or stay there because they know they're going to get this. Bad, bad, bad. You shouldn't have done that. Or New York, where people get out after 43 times being in prison and stab people in the throat, or set people on fire in the subway, stuff like that, Why not? And when you want to just move your whole family there so that you can sit on the bus going petrified that someone's going to kill you. You can't even ride the bus or get on your phone or do anything because you got to walk around, and you can't even pack. At least in Arkansas, I got concealed carry. I can pack and not worry about it. Some jerk tries to open my door and put a gun in his face and say, get the back off, motherfucker, or I'm going to shoot you. So, we have the right to do that. And it's sad that all states don't, because I do believe in them, the right to bear arms and to protect myself and my family. And everyone should have that right. And even if you don't believe that other people should be able to defend themselves, you'd think that you would want someone to defend you if you were the person being attacked, right? But I don't know. It's really sad. But I can understand, because I went and looked at some of the statistics, and they have gone down for the amount of serial killers and this kind of these type of crimes that are done by strangers where they don't know who they are. Well, we're not 100% sure. Remember, they haven't solved all of these. Now when we look into the background of this guy, we're going to watch this video in just a second. He might have known the family. You know what I mean? So it's very rare that you have someone like the Green River Killer that just goes out and picks up a prostitute or a total stranger at the mall, or someone at the bus stop, or things like that. Someone they've never met. They just see them and they want them for themselves to do whatever sick stuff they want to do. So most of the time it's someone they know. It's like a guy that's obsessed with some woman and she won't give him the time of day, so he just takes her because he believes that he can do whatever he wants. Because the narcissists, most of them, that's what they believe. Even women can be narcissists too. They do the same thing. So there are women that do murder. So it's not just men. But let me go back to this whole thing, and I'm going to play this video. So let's see. Here we go. Oh, it's not a video? Oh, I pulled it up thinking it was a video, and I wanted to play it. They just took a picture of it. I hate it when they do this. But let me see if they have a link in here. Why would Cash do that? That's ridiculous, Cash. I can't believe Cash Patel did that. But let me go down real quick on here and see if there is... Okay, here we go. Let me click on this, maybe to take us to it. Let me see if it's going to work or not. Nope, it's not going to. I'm going to have to close this and open it on the other one. So give me 1 second. It's really a bummer. Okay, let's see what it says. Show me how. I don't know what this means. Oh, it's not going to let me see it because I have to disable my stuff. Well, that's terrible. That sucks. Gosh, that really bums me out. I was really excited about watching that video. Well, I don't guess I'm going to get to, unless it's on here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, here it is. Here it is. Sorry, here's a different one I opened. Okay, let me get you to see it, what I'm seeing. I found one. Just give me a second. I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. Can you guys see this? Oh, you can't. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to share this so you can watch it. It's turned up. I'll turn it up more. Here we go.
KHOU 11 breaking news now.
Breaking news we have for you tonight. This is a man Galveston County grand jury has just indicted in connection with the notorious Texas killing fields, James Dolph Elmore Jr. He now faces charges in the deaths of Laura Miller and Audrey Cook, and the cases that have haunted the Houston area for more than 40 years. And tonight, only on KHOU 11, we are learning from the suspect's family. We have team coverage starting with Matt Doherty. He's in the Bakecliff area near the suspect's home. And Matt, you spoke with the suspect's son.
Yes, Lynn, I did. James Elmore Jr. was arrested just a short time ago, a few hours ago. We spoke with his son in an exclusive interview, who's telling us that his dad was picked up out in San Leon on a traffic stop. I want you to take a look at some of this video. This is James Elmore Jr. being taken into custody, into the Galveston County Jail in handcuffs, led by the Galveston County Sheriff himself. And again, in the last hour, I spoke with the suspect's son, James Elmore III. He says it is not possible that his dad had anything to do with the murders.
Well, I hate to say it, DNA doesn't lie.
You're convinced that your dad had nothing to do with this?
He had nothing to do with it. He never did. He never even did nothing. Just because Clyde died, they want to pin something on him. I really don't know.
Well, I feel sorry for this family.
James Dolph Elmore Jr. is charged with manslaughter for the death of 16-year-old Laura Miller, who went missing in September of 1986. Her body was later found off Calder Road in League City, along with the bodies of 3 other women in an area known as the Texas Killing Fields. Elmore has also been charged with tampering with a corpse related to the body of 30-year-old Audrey Cook. His son tells me his father knew and worked with Clyde Hedrick back in the 1980s. Hedrick died 10 days ago. The Galveston County Sheriff's Office says Hedrick is linked to 4 murders. Those are the bodies found off Calder Road, but he died before the DA's presentation to the grand jury. Tonight at 10 o'clock, we'll have more from my interview with the son of the suspect. That's tonight at 10 o'clock. Lynn.
Stunning developments in this case we've been talking about for decades. Matt, thank you. And KHU11 Investigates has been digging into the criminal history of James Elmore Jr. Jeremy Rogowski joins us with what he's learned. Jeremy?
Yeah, Len, James Elmore Jr.'s rap sheet dates back more than 40 years and includes arrests in both Galveston and Harris counties.
From 1984 to 2025, James Elmore Jr. was arrested on numerous drug charges, including marijuana possession and delivery of methamphetamine. In 1993, he was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder and was sentenced to 1 year in the county jail. Other charges over the years include a 1996 arrest for forgery, a 2016 assault of a family member, and a 2017 burglary charge.
And again, it bears repeating, the career criminal now facing felony charges of manslaughter and tampering with evidence in the murder of Killing Fields victim Laura Miller, and an additional tampering charge, Glenn, in the killing of victim Audrey Cook.
A lot to unpack here in a very short period of time that we are learning this afternoon. Jeremy, thank you for the update. We will continue to follow this developing story on air, online, and streaming on all our platforms throughout the night.
Wow, that is really good. That is I'm so glad that we have DNA. I mean, God, it's awesome. We got the Golden State Killer the same way, and he killed lots and lots of women and their husbands because he would tie them up and put a teacup on a little, saucer on the back of the husband while he dragged the wife around and made him cook for him. He raped her multiple times, and then he killed both of them anyway. So, and if the husband moved or whatever, he would threaten to kill the woman. So it's a horrible. It was a horrible, horrible person. He's in prison now for the rest of his life, and the California people got to pay for him because California doesn't believe in getting rid of these scumbags. So it's really sad. But I wanted to pull up a few of these things. One of the things that I found was this. It's the Wikipedia about the killing fields, and basically all the information that put together in one area so that you could go through it and read it. It's really sad. I mean, I was reading a lot of it, and it's just I don't know. It's just really, really, really bad. It says the Texas killing fields were a title used to denote the area surrounding Interstate 45, the I-45 corridor southeast of Houston, which was where they found bodies from starting in the early 1970s. They said 34 bodies have been found there. Now, they might have added more because they didn't update. They might not have updated Wikipedia. But it says it's specifically a 25-acre patch of land in League City, Texas, where 4 women were found. And it said between 1983 and 1991, the bodies along the corridor were mainly the girls or young women. And it said that many additional young girls have also disappeared from that area who are still missing, which they've never found, which means they probably put the bodies somewhere else, or they were sold, like for human trafficking, because we know that's really bad in that area of Texas. It says that most of the victims were between the ages of 12 and 25, which is huge for trafficking. And some shared similar features, such as, similar hairstyles. And it says despite the efforts of the League City Police, along with, assistance from the FBI, very few of those murders have been solved. And that's really sad because they're overwhelmed. And all you hear is all these people saying, get rid of the cops, get rid of this, get rid of that. We don't want them. But they want them when they need them. So they don't want them for you to help your family find out who robbed them or who stole their car or who kidnapped one of their family members. But when they want somebody because they fell down and broke a fingernail, yeah, they want some help, but they don't want you to have any. So it's pathetic. Our cops, our firemen, our police officers, our paramedics, any people that do all the rescue, things like that, and forestry people, all those people, none of them get treated with the respect I think they deserve, especially by people in the cities for some reason. It seems like people in the cities only want cops when it's their problem. You know what I mean? They could care less. They'll just walk by you if you're being beat up on the street and just take a video, right? You see a person getting beat up by 5 people and there's 20 people standing around videoing and nobody's trying to help them. It's sickening, it's sickening. It's sad, but that's where we live today because people just don't seem to give a shit. And I can see why so many decent people leave the cities, especially if you can afford it. They try to move out, they go move in with their parents, or they go back and move in with their grandparents or their cousins and stuff like that because they're trying to get away from this crap. And it's pathetic. I mean, it's just sickening. And if you go one thing I found in common with all these cities, I mean, every city, just about every single city in every single state is run by the same type of people, Democrats. And for some reason, they are weak and wobbly on crime. They just don't care. They don't care about you and me. They only care about themselves because they got bodyguards, the people in charge. They got great security systems. They got someone driving their car, or they got giant fences around their house. They don't care about your kid not being able to go to the park. See, and you still vote for them. I don't get any of that shit. I just don't understand it. But oh well, I guess I'm not meant to. Let me go back to the chat real quick and see if I miss anything. Oh yeah, they did. I saw that. I'll have to talk about that tomorrow night on the Friday Night Shit Show, because I don't have, the link up right now. But yeah, I saw because that they linked a new victim. DNA is freaking awesome. I think it's great. I wish more people that cared about this kind of stuff, solving these old cases, would go and give them a sample of their DNA. If you think that the government already knows everything about you, why not donate some of your DNA to find out whether somebody in your history of your past is a killer, like some of these people, or were involved in it. So the whole thing about they match DNA, which is really a big deal. I mean, if you understand anything about science, they can't just go and make up your DNA. They can't just take it and just bam, oh look, I got DNA and I put it all over that. We have to have it. You have to have it available. And they didn't even know who this guy was, basically. So I don't know. I just wish that more people would care enough to go do that and say, hey, I want to see. And guess what? I did find out that my grandmother on my mother's side, she was related to Pat Garrett, the lawman, who shot Billy the Kid or whatever. So you may not find some things about you that is a good thing, but you might find out you're related to some king. I mean, I've got relatives in Jamaica from my dad's side of the family. I've got a grandmother, a great grandmother that was Chickasaw, that lived on the Indian reservation in Oklahoma. I found out all kinds of cool stuff, but you don't find out any of that if you don't even make an effort to research into it, right? But let me go back to this, what I was talking about with the killing fields. It's really interesting because I didn't even realize any of this stuff, but it's basically every single state. You can get online and look up your state and find out, the past about serial killers. A serial killer is, I think, someone who kills 2 or more people at different times. They take one person, kill them, and then they find someone else and they kill them. A mother who kills her kids one at a time, different times, or a father who does it, that can be considered a serial killer, a person who kills multiple people. So there was a huge case in Arkansas when I started looking at it, was Ronald Gene Simmons. He supposedly killed all his, almost all his family, his grandkids, his nieces and nephews. I mean, just a whole bunch of them, like 30 people in his family. And he waited and killed one of them one at a time. It's like sick. I mean, we got some sick people. That takes a lot of time and effort to plan all that out. And I think it was all within 1 or 2 days where he did all of it. It's just really sad and scary. But I think people should know about it so that maybe you could prepare so that, if you see something that looks weird or they act weird, that maybe you could stay away from that person, and keep your family away from them, because they could be bad news. But it said that they described the killing field, this 125-acre land, as a perfect place to take someone and kill them to get away with it. That's pretty sickening. It says, after visiting some of the sites of the recovered bodies in League City, that the director of the film, Texas Killing Field, said you could actually see the refineries that are in the south end of League City, and you could see I-45. But if you yelled, no one would probably hear you. And if you ran, there wouldn't really be anywhere you could get to before you'd get caught by the person who brought you there. It said a task force composed of local law enforcement officials and FBI agents. They called it the Operation HALT, Homicide Abduction Liaison Team, has been formed to investigate the incidents. So they did form a team that they're trying to use specifically different ways of gathering evidence and trying to solve the crimes, which is great, because apparently if they've found this guy, they probably have links to others. And just like I said, it's very, very rare for someone like the Green River Killer or the Golden State Killer killing people, total strangers. This guy supposedly was linked to another guy that was involved, whose DNA also matched, but just like they said, he had already died, probably from old age, because it was such a long period of time between being able to, find out who it was. And what's really sad is that there's if you're attacked by somebody, raped or whatever in some states, there's a statute of limitations, which is ridiculous. So what if they had statutes of limitations on this kind of stuff, where they find your DNA matches somebody you killed 20 years ago? You beat them to death, you cut their head up, you dismembered them or whatever. And then they say, well, it's been too long, can't prosecute them now. What? I think that kind of shit is stupid. And anyone that lives there should be doing whatever you can to get the law changed to where you can prosecute people, period, no matter how old the crime is, because if a person's murdered or they murdered someone, it shouldn't matter if 5 years went by, or they raped someone, if they committed a crime, breaking in, stealing a car, whatever it is. If they broke the law, there shouldn't be a limitation on how long you have to catch them. Especially, I can see why some certain people running some of these cities would want limitations, because they bitch and moan about, we want to defund the cops. Okay, so they defund the cops where they only have half as many people that are able to solve the crimes, right? So now it takes even longer to solve all the crime that's happening. So, and then they have a limitation, you might be this close to solving it, but they take half your people away. Now it takes that much longer to even get that much closer. You see, it's ridiculous and dumb. None of it makes any sense at all. Some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen is in some of these big cities, with the way they run things. They charge you out the wazoo for your taxes on your property, on your cars, for gas, and they keep adding 10 cents here, 10 cents there, to where your gas is like $7 a gallon, and the two states away from it's $2.50 for the same kind of gas, because there's so much taxes added to it. But people still want to live there in droves for some reason and keep voting for these people. You have no water. You buy a house that costs you $500,000, and you find out once you move in, when you try to get insurance, fire insurance, well, the insurance is so high because we don't have any water in the reservoirs. So we'll have to bring in trucks to put the fires out. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with people? You buy a house and they have no water. There's no water for you. It's like, you got to start asking these kind of questions, especially when you move into a state like California, and a few other dumb states on that side, and the other side of the country. It's ridiculous. And then you buy your land and you're just own the house on it. Yeah, you have to pay taxes on all whatever amount of land you have, but guess what? You can't own the water rights. You can't own the mineral rights. You can't own shit. So all that's pathetic. I'm glad I do not live in any of those states. Where I live, I can own my property. So it's like, and I can collect rainwater on my property, and I have a well, and I can drink my own water. We got so much work to do where people can actually own what they pay for. It's like you buy a car, but you have to pay the state year after year just to drive it. And if it breaks down, they don't pay to fix it. You have to still pay to fix it, but you still have to pay taxes on it, even if you're not driving it. If it's stuck in the driveway because you can't afford to fix it, you still got to pay for it. It's messed up. These rules are really messed up. But I just thought that was pretty interesting, this whole thing with the Texas killing fields. It talks about all the victims, the different victims that they know of. Because remember what they said earlier is that there's tons of unknown victims. There's girls that went missing, like walking home from work, they still have never found after all these years, from like 1980, It's really, really sad that all their families had to go for all this time and not know if they're alive or dead. More than likely, you believe they're dead. But I was reading something the other day, I think it was yesterday, that 30 years later, that a young woman was found, but she's not young anymore. She's a grown woman, now has her own family, that she had been taken when she was a kid. And now she's a grown woman, and she found out that the people that raised her weren't even her parents. They'd taken her, they kidnapped her. So, yeah, with DNA, that you'd be able to find people really, really quick that way. Yeah, I know they can't force you to do it, but if you wanted to know, you'd be able to, like your cell phone. It has, you can put something on it like, what was it? Something 360. And there's some other apps that you can get and put on there so you can find people, when they're using their phone. If they have it turned on, you can find them. I've seen it used in lots of crimes where a young teenage girl was riding her bike and she didn't come home. And the mother said, "Oh, I remember when they were trying to find her. They used the app and the cops just followed it and it went in circles. And she was just going all like she was running from someone." And she was. And then when they finally got to the end of the thing, they found her, but they thought she was dead because she was laying there and she was just limp in the ground, and she had been attacked. You could tell by looking at her, but her eyes opened, and they go, "She's still alive." So they were able to save her. But thanks to having that app on her phone, or they would never have found her. And the fact that she had her backpack on her, even though she was assaulted and everything, he didn't take the time to take her backpack off. He just tried to strangle her to death. And he thought she was dead because she just laid there and played dead. Thank goodness some people are, too stupid to make sure you're dead. But I'm glad that she lived. But thank God she had that app on her phone so her mother could see her again. But I was looking through this because, see, this young woman, Colette Wilson, 13, disappeared from the Alvin bus stop on County Road 99. It said it's in Alvin, Texas, after she was dropped off by her band director on June 17th, 1971. Her body was found 5 months later, in November 26, 1971, near the Addicks Reservoir, just 35 yards from the location where the body of Gloria Gonzalez was discovered 4 months later. So this person just dumped these women like garbage, and that's what's so sad. We have a society where people look at each other like they're trash. You got a guy that looks at a woman, and every woman he sees, he hates her. He just wants to see her die. And that's basically what you had in Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, He just hated women. And then you had the guy, the Golden State Killer, that was killing women and murdering them. And he murdered a young girl too and left her hanging in their basement and killed her whole family. But he killed her. I think she was 11 or 12. But he was married and he had 2 kids. And he was like a dog catcher. He was like one of the high people in his church, So they pretend to be whatever they want. They can be whatever, and you wouldn't even know. So it's just really scary thinking about it, these people, and that they're just walking amongst us and you wouldn't even know. But God gives you intuition for a reason. I mean, a couple of times I would go somewhere, be shopping, whatever, and someone would walk by me and the hair on the back of my neck would stand up, and I would turn and look at them, and they looked normal, but something about them was telling me that they weren't normal. And animals do that. My grandfather swears that a horse could tell, that you'll see a horse that starts just going, I don't want to near this person because they sense that this person's not right. There's something wrong with this person. And I think God gives us all of that. But a lot of us say, well, we can't think that because that's rude. Well, you don't have to tell them that you're having a creepy feeling from them. You just nod your head and you walk on. You just don't stay there with the person. Or you tell them, "I'm sorry, I got to go. I had ladies' room," or whatever excuse you have to just to get away from that person. Tell them you'll be right back, and then just don't go back. If you're at your job or whatever, you just tell your boss you got a stomach ache or something. You don't have to be an asshole about it, because it may be something else. It may be that they're sick or they have cancer or who knows. I mean, but you have that for a purpose. You wouldn't get that uneasy feeling for no reason. There's something going on. But I just wish more people paid attention to their own senses, because I think it would save a lot of people. But then you have another girl, Brenda K. Jones, 14, was last seen while walking to Galveston Hospital, close to I-45, on her way to visit her aunt on July 1st, 1971, in Galveston, Texas. And I had friends that lived in Galveston. Galveston was a beautiful place. Her body was found July 2nd, 1971, killed her in one day, floating in a nearby bay, Pelican Island, close to the Seawolf Parkway near I-45. It's terrible. Rhonda Renee Johnson, 14, and Sharon Lynn Shaw, 13. Just heartbreaking. Disappeared in Harris County, Texas on the afternoon of August 4th, 1971, and both were last seen walking along Seawall Boulevard in Galveston near a local beach. On January 3rd, 1972, two boys fishing in Clear Lake discovered a human skull floating in the water, which they had initially believed to be a sports ball. 6 weeks later, searchers discovered the rest of the body, along with that of another girl, in a marsh near the lake. According to the coroner's inquest filed on February 17, 1972, the skull found in the lake was determined to be dental records to have belonged to Shaw, the 13-year-old girl. And additionally, a crucifix found wrapped around the jawbone of the skull was identified by Shaw's mother to have belonged to her daughter. Oh, that's just so sad. The other body found in the marsh was positively identified as Johnson. They were best friends in life and they died together. It's just so sad. But even though it's been all this time, it's just heartbreaking to think about it. All these people murdered, just their lives taken by someone who thinks they're God. And apparently to themselves, they're God. If they've gotten away with it all this time, how can you not feel like get up every morning and say, I took a life, I took someone's life and I'm still walking free because I am a God, and that's how they tell them the kind of sick feelings that these people have about themselves. It's sickening. These people are sickening, and I wish we could get all of them. Telling you, I'd be I don't know what I would do, but I would fight and fight and fight. I would have my gun on me most likely if I was out and about. So it's just sad. That's why they prey on these young girls. Just like I said, I remember my mom telling me stories about how her friends would just say, hey, we want to go to so-and-so beach, and they'd pack a bag and then they'd just go hitchhike. They just go hitchhike. To hitchhike to go, well, we've done it this many times and we've always got home. That was the way they reasoned it and thought it was okay. And then one day their friend never comes home because she hitchhiked and bummed cigarettes and just did that, thinking that everybody's nice and everybody's friendly and everybody's gonna take you home and gives a shit about you. Well, they give a shit about you, but not in the way that you think they do. But I'm going to share this. I'm going to copy this and put it in the chat because it's very heartbreaking. If you want to spend the time and go all the way through all of these victims and read about where they came from and where they disappeared to, and then it has a list of suspects in here. These are all people that, because they knew these people, these were people that more than likely, it's like I said, 90% of the time, it's someone they knew. It's their bus driver, they're one of their teachers, a next door neighbor, their youth counselor, their coach, all these people. Just like that, I was telling you, the BTK was a dog catcher. He was a dog catcher in his local community. He was in his church. He worked in his school, in this church, and he killed, a young girl and her family in their house and left her hanging naked in their basement by her throat after he was finished. And he was married and had kids. And he just went out and did this kind of stuff because he was God. They're sick people. We got a lot of sick people out there. And what do we do about it? We say, oh, they were abused, whatever. We feel sorry for them and give them more rights than they gave their victims. And there's no justice for the victims. The families, there's no justice because they see what happened. They find out what happened to their loved one. And then they see the person get nothing, basically. Because to me, if they took a life and they took it for their entertainment, for their joy, why should they get to live? What purpose does that serve? What purpose does it serve to anyone that this person, even the Bible says an eye for an eye, and I don't know. I just don't get it. In other countries, you get caught stealing, they chop your hand off, I think we're one of there might be a few other countries that are real pussyfied where the criminals get treated better than the victims do, or the victims' families. But I'm going to share this in the chat with all of you so that you can go and check out that website if you want. It's very interesting and sad. It's very heartbreaking. And the fact that I feel really bad is that I used to go to Galveston a lot because I had a sister that was there. Like I said, her husband worked on the oil rigs. So I would go there in the summer and spend a couple weeks and have fun. So I want to say hi to everybody. Let's see this real quick. Who's in the chat? I'm sorry. It's just me. I don't have a person on here with me, so I don't have another person who is able to put stuff up. But I want to see what everybody's been saying. I think you should do late night shit shows on Saturday nights, but it's your channel. The reason I can't do it on Saturday is because I play Bruce's games. Every Saturday's filled with his game, and I start at 12 in the afternoon, and by 8:30 when he's done with the game, I'm exhausted. So I'm tired, because I've been sitting in my chair all day rolling dice or crocheting or whatever while we play. But it's that's why I don't do it on Saturday night. And then Sunday we do the Girl Guy in a Movie. So that's the only time I have. And then Thursday night I try to do this or After Hours or Team Shit Show, depending on what the topic is. So I would love to do music videos and stuff like that, but you can't because YouTube doesn't like you to share anything like that. So that's one reason why I don't do it. But it's there's just a lot of really scary information out there, with all of this going on. But let me see. Let's see, where is it? Oh, yeah, here's the other one. Here is one that I found when I was reading about it. What the families of Texas killing fields victims have said about the murders. And I think some of them even think that they know the person that might have killed them. They might have threatened them, or they might have dated one of the people. So I haven't looked at it really. I didn't have a chance. I just kind of went over it a little bit. It says across 3 episodes, the Texas Killing Fields, which I guess is a documentary, explores the unsolved murders of 4 young women, those whose remains were discovered along the interstate corridor connecting Houston and the beach town of Galveston, which has become known by that grisly name. Yeah, it's sad too. More than 30 bodies have been found in the area since the 1970s. They were all girls or young women ages 12 to 25 years old. In the documentary series, families of some of the victims talk about their grief and fight for justice. Other families have spoken to the press in the past. Here, Newsweek takes a look at what the families of Texas killing fields victims have said over the years. Yeah, it's really, really terrible. What the families of Texas killing fields victims have said about the murders. And then it says Colette Wilson. One of the first victims found in the killing fields was Colette Wilson. She was 13 years old on June 17, 1971. When she was abducted from an intersection at Alvin while waiting for her mother, Claire Wilson, to pick her up. So she was just taken. Just standing there. I guess people must have seen her or whatever. It said Claire Wilson immediately suspected foul play when she arrived and her daughter was not at the intersection or at the friend's house nearby. Police assumed Colette had run away from home. However, 5 months later, the teenager's remains were uncovered in the Texas killing fields. The bodies of 14-year-old Brenda Jones and 19-year-old Gloria Ann Gonzalez were discovered nearby. So 2 more bodies were found simply because they were looking for this other girl that was missing. And her mother was like hounding them, saying, I know she wouldn't have ran away, and fighting. And it's sad that a parent has to fight for their kid to get the cops to do anything. Because they think, oh, it's just a runaway. Just run away. They're just, they're kids that don't give a shit. They just want to live on the streets or whatever. And they just judge kids that way. Just because a kid's born and lives in a house in the same neighborhood as other kids that might do certain things doesn't mean all the kids do that. That's just like saying every girl is a slut. Every girl, once she's 13, she's a slut. That's how stupid it is. Because it's ridiculous to say that kind of stuff. You can't link everybody in the same basket. It doesn't work. Our DNA proves we're different. We're all different. Our DNA proves it's like a fingerprint. And we're all different. So just because that girl did it doesn't mean this girl's doing the same thing. That's just stupid. Even groups of girls, you might have 3 best friends and all 3 of them do different things differently. Well, I have 4 sisters. I can tell you right now, none of us are alike. We're all different. I was a tomboy. Oh, my phone's ringing. I can't answer it because I'm live. Sorry, buddy, whoever it was. I didn't see who it was, but it's sad when that's what they do, and that's one reason why it was so hard to capture the Green River Killer, because he chose to kidnap and kill prostitutes. And just because they were prostitutes, nobody gave a shit. They didn't care if it was a mother that was sleeping with men to make money to pay her bills because she didn't have any money, or her husband left her, or whatever the reason was behind it. Didn't matter, and it shouldn't matter, because somebody's life should be valuable. It's just the way I see people reacting when we talk about all these children missing. Like this morning, I was in one of Brandy's spaces talking about, missing exploited children that are being trafficked, and trying to find buildings so that they can start having a place to take these kids to stay while they, after what happens, when they get them. Somewhere they can go where they feel safe, where they can sleep and take a bath and get something to eat and have other people around where they feel safe, a nice place to stay, their own bedroom, things like that. And it's so sad how few people show up for that, how few people talk about it, because it's not a fun subject. That's one reason why I do some of the stuff I do. I might only have 20 people watch it. That's fine. It's 20 more people that know about it now than did yesterday. That's how I look at it. I could do all my shows, could all be where I'm all dressed up and singing and having a great old time, doing cosplay or whatever, and have way more people watching. But I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because I'm trying to bring attention to something I think is important. And, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Just like when I tell people, go work the polls. Because if your ass is sitting in the chair, they're not going to cheat. They're not going to cheat right in front of you if you're there, because you can't be bought off. You can't be said, hey, I want you to do this, that, and the other. If I give you this money, would you do it? No, you wouldn't. So that's why it's important that people like you and me that give a shit about our communities get off our ass and do stuff. And just because I'm not, I don't have 300,000 subscribers, and I probably never will, because this is the kind of stuff I want to share. This is the kind of stuff that I think is important to talk about and for people to know about. So I don't get as many subscribers. I have my sister join X 2 years after me, and I introduced her to everybody I knew. I took her to spaces. I let her join DM groups, and guess what? Within a year, she had 20-something thousand people following her. Guess how many I had? 12,000, and I still have 12,000. Why? People don't want to follow me. I can't help that. I can't do anything about it. But I do, get rid of the bots and stuff like that. And if they send me a DM saying, hey, you want to buy crypto and blah, 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 guess what? I block them. So yeah, I do care who follows me. And if they have porn on their thing, they got a bunch of, naked pictures with boobies and butts and all that stuff, I block them too. Because I don't want to see that shit. I don't know why Elon doesn't make a triple X. Take X, and then that's for normal people, and people who want to do sex and do all that shit can go to triple X and have a link that goes right to it. So I don't have to see their shit on my timeline. I pay for premium so I can do this, so I can do live streams. That's the only reason I did it, to help build up my, my shows, because I do a show about movie reviews. Right. And then on Saturdays, I play Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, because I like to roll dice and pretend to be a cleric healing people and stuff and fighting dragons and stuff like that, because it's fun. I enjoy it because I'm a nerd, and I go to Comic Cons. I do all that kind of stuff. I love comic books. I put Legos together. I crochet. I do lots of things. I do promo work. I go and I get hired and I go do whatever it is that they need me to do to sell their products. That's what I do. And I've done stand-in work. I've done a lot of different things. But the thing is, I do this and I'm paying every month for this. I pay to have this platform so I can do it. I pay X. I'm not making money on X. I pay to have StreamYard so I can stream to 3 different locations. It costs me $25 a month to do this, and I'm not making money yet. Yeah, I finally monetized, but it's been 3 months and I haven't even made $100. So there you go. Okay. So, and when I start making some money, it's going to go to pay for my internet. I mean, I pay for my internet. I pay for all this stuff. It's from my own money. I do it because I want people to open their eyes and see their communities for the wonderful people that are in there, because there are good people. And I still believe there's more good people than there are bad. But for some reason, these cities that are run by Democrats, if you go and you look and research it, you got Democrats running these cities into the ground. Chicago has been run into the ground. It's filled with criminals. You can't have guns. You can't have anything. But guess what? The only ones that have guns are the criminals. And then they don't want to pay the cops. They don't want you to have a gun to defend yourself. It's all this stuff is ridiculous. And then we have all this type of stuff happening. And these are older cases, and they're solving them because of smart geniuses that decide to use DNA and family trees to try to connect people and find these people. Because DNA doesn't lie. Because their moms, their dads, and their sisters and brothers deserve to know what happened to them. Just like you, just like any of you watching this, if your daughter disappeared, or your sister, or your mom, or your grandmother, or your brother, or your dad, or your cousin, or your next door neighbor, wouldn't you want to know what happened to them? Don't you deserve to know what happened to them? You pay taxes. You're a good person. Don't you deserve for your money to go to find out who killed them or what happened to them? And then if they do find out that their body was found and they find that they were murdered, don't you deserve, and your family deserve, and the victim deserve to have the criminal caught and actually be put in jail? You know, isn't that what we all want? Isn't that why we have laws? Why we have a constitution? Why we each of our states have constitutions? All of this stuff is supposed to help us live as a society where we can live together, because we all have to follow the same rules, right? That's what keeps all of us safe. You buy a house, you get to live in your house. Nobody can come in your house unless you invite them. You can have birthday parties, you can mow your yard, you can grow roses, you can grow azaleas, whatever you want to do. It's your house. You can paint it yellow. You can put an oak tree in the front and a pear tree in the back. You know, all these things that you can do because it's yours. And you pay taxes to the state that you live in this city or whatever. You choose to live there. If you don't want to live there, you sell your house and you take the money and you go to another state and you buy a property and you live there and you raise your kids, send them to school, whatever. But you're paying taxes so that you have police officers and firemen to come put out a fire if there's a fire at your home, so your kid can go to school, you know, all these things. And we deserve to be able to feel safe, to go to the park, to go to the grocery store and walk in and out carrying our groceries, feeling safe, to be able to put them in our car and drive home, unload our car, put our groceries in our house because we bought them with our own money and they're ours, you know, that type of thing. We shouldn't be living in fear every day of whether or not we're going to make it home today alive and our kids are going to come home from school. You know, that's pathetic. Other countries do live like that. They can't get on a bus because someone might be a suicide bomber. You know, we're lucky to live here. I mean, where I live right now, I feel safe. I love my governor. And I voted for Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And I love Arkansas. I don't like the ticks. I don't like the flies. And I hate the humidity and the weird weather and the fact that we have tornadoes. There's a lot of things I don't like about it. But guess what? It isn't that I don't like my governor. We have good sheriff department and good sheriffs all around the areas that I've been, you know, that I travel to go shopping, and where I have my post office box, you know, where I get gas, things like that. Very low crime because people care about their neighbors and they make phone calls, or they'll come over and say, hey, I saw a strange person do this and that and the other, you know. And it's just sad that you can't have that in every city because people don't care about their neighbors. They can't care about anybody but themselves. And I'm glad I don't live like that. When I lived in New Orleans, I loved it there. It's a great, wonderful city, so diverse, such wonderful food, beautiful people, great music, culture was awesome. Yes, and we had crime. We had some crime, and we had drugs. We had prostitution. We had, you know, alcohol. But considering all the people that would come there for the festivals, for Mardi Gras, for Jazz Fest, and all the other things that we would do, it wasn't as bad as it could have been because we had people that gave a crap. You know what I mean? They cared about whether their cities were cleaned up after the parade went through. You know, we were willing to volunteer to help different things, different projects that could happen, things like that, because you had a hands-on community. But when you start having a hands-out community where they all expect something or they don't do anything, that's when your community starts falling apart. When everyone stays home, they don't vote anymore. They don't give a shit. They don't care about the cops. They don't care about keeping their yards looking nice. You know, they don't care about the store down the street getting robbed every single day, stuff like that. And guess what? The store closes. Then you got to drive farther to get your groceries. Then you got to drive farther again because that one went out of business. The whole thing collapses when nobody gives a shit, when nobody raises their hands to help other people. And guess what? That doesn't cost anything. Doesn't cost you one dime to be nice to someone, to open a door, say hi, any of those things. This takes time. It takes you to be a person that's willing to make a difference. But if nobody does it, nothing gets done, nothing changes. But I still have faith. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm doing this. You know, and if nobody wants to watch me, then I guess I'll just have nobody watching me, except for maybe a couple of my wrenches and a couple of my nerd friends. They can tune in. That's fine. You know, they can't stay very long. That's fine. I'll say hi to them. I'm still going to do it. And it's coming out of my pocket. So no one's paying me to do it. And if somebody came to me and said, hey, we like your show. We think you're this, that, and the other is great, but you can't say this anymore, or you can't do that. I've had YouTube tell me you can't say that word. And I did a video, a 7-minute video of Comet Ping Pong way back, you know, when I first started. And it was just a 7-minute video that I posted about Comet Ping Pong and about the Podesta and Hillary Clinton emails. That's what was in it. That's all it was. And it was stuff that's out there. I go out and I just grab stuff and I put it together, and I made a video and put it out. And guess what? I had it taken down, and I was called a cyberbully by YouTube. And they took me down for 2 weeks, you know? So I'm paying to have this streaming service, and I couldn't air to YouTube because they said I was a cyberbully for 2 weeks. So I couldn't post on YouTube. I couldn't do anything because they didn't like what I had to say. You know, so, oh, well, you know, that's just what happens. But guess what? As soon as I was able to say it, I started saying stuff again. I've had some people on there, and we've talked about, you know, different things. I got taken down for medical misinformation, and it was a tiny snippet I played of the Surgeon General of Florida talking about the COVID vaccine. That got taken down. So you can't please everyone. But the thing is, I am an Air Force brat. I was a tomboy. I camped. I hunted. I fished with my dad. I still love that stuff. And I'm the middle daughter of 5 daughters from my dad. And I love my country. And I love our veterans. And, you know, I want to do whatever I can to support my veterans and to support children and to try to stop human trafficking, you know, whatever I can do. And I work the polls. I've served jury duty, federal jury duty, and regular jury duty. But I didn't shirk it and say, oh, I'm sick, or I'm going to hang the guy, or any of that stuff. I went and I sat there and went through the whole process because I'm doing what I tell other people they should try to do to save my town or my state, which was Louisiana for a while, and now it's Arkansas right now. So I just wish more people would want to do the same thing. And guess what? I have kids. Guess what? I'd say, hey, can you babysit for me? I got to do this. You know, and I babysit for people so they can do stuff. You know, it's teamwork because it works. You know, I tell people that shit all the time, but it's true. And, you know, I care about it. But let me get back to this. I always go off on a tangent. And I know I hate that about myself, but I can't help it. You know, I am who I am, and I just do the best I can with what I have. That's all I can do. But I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit until I can't speak anymore, or I can't get out of bed, or I'm in the ground. You know, I'm just going to keep doing it. Just like my little button says on my thing, it says POWs never have a nice day, basically. You know, to me, like Tina Peters, she's a POW right now. She's a prisoner of war, a war against our country, of us fighting for our rights to have fair elections, things like that. That's how I look at things. So, you know, you don't have to like me if you don't want to, but I do believe in gay rights. I believe if you're gay and you want to be gay and you're an adult, you have the right to be gay. But I don't believe in it when you try to force it upon children. Sorry, I don't agree with that. And most of my gay friends agree with me. That's why they're my friend. They believe in the rights of children also. Children should be able to be children until they turn 18, and now they're an adult. And if they can pick up a gun and go fight for our country, they should have the right to buy cigarettes. They should have the right to do a lot of things because they're old enough to fight for their country. That's what makes an adult, and that's what makes a kid. You see what I mean? The separation of that. But that's my point of view on that. So I'll stop talking about it. But it said 5 months later, the teenager's remains were found uncovered in the Texas killing fields. The bodies of 14-year-old Brenda Jones and 19-year-old Gloria Ann Gonzalez were discovered nearby. So they found 2 other bodies because of the other girl that the mother was looking for. And it said that Claire Wilson later told Catherine Casey, an author of a book about the killings, the police weren't worried. They said she would probably be taking drugs or something and that she ran away. See, that's sad. When people assume other people and they don't know anything, they don't have any proof to prove what they're saying is even right. And that's why I'm a firm believer in it doesn't matter if they think it's a runaway or not. If it's a runaway, great. They find the runaway and they take her ass home or his ass home. But the thing is, they're doing their job. You pay taxes for them to do the job that we hired them for. And if you got a bunch of cops that don't want to look for people because they think it's a waste of their time, then you move them to another department where they can just sit behind a desk and do nothing all day on the computer or whatever. But they shouldn't be able to be police officers if they're not willing to do the job that they're hired to do. It's just like anything. I don't believe in DEI hires. If you can't do the damn job, get rid of them. Whether it's a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. If they have to lower the standards to give someone a position in there as a police officer, 911 operator, whatever it is, or a fireman, then they shouldn't get the job. Because I want a person that's capable of doing the job to protect my family and my neighbors' families. So don't hire people like that. I've never agreed with any of that bullshit. And I think it's crap that if you owned a business and you needed someone to be a checker at your store, but everyone that came in couldn't count or read or do anything, you're not going to hire them. You wouldn't hire them to run the cash register. So you might be able to hire them to stock a shelf if they could read where it was supposed to go, right? So it just depends. You hire someone because of the skills they have. So you should be able to hire who you feel best is suited for the position that you're hiring for. If they just come and say, here, you got to take this person, how long is your business going to stay in business? Not very long. So I think that's one reason why the government is so shitty, is because they force us to put up with people. How many times have you gone to the DMV and had to stand there forever for like 35 minutes when there's 10 people in line? When they're on their phone or they go over and they're in the back room area and you can see them and they're just talking to their friends when they should be on the clock doing their job, which means coming, doing the paperwork, filing, whatever it is to get you your license or your driver's license, whatever it is, so you can leave because you are taking time off from your job to come and do this stuff in their office. You know, that kind of stuff. It's ridiculous. And it gets worse and worse and worse when the word government is involved for some reason. It's terrible. It's because there's no accountability because you and I are paying the bill. If they were paying the bill, it would be totally different. But see, they're not. As soon as they pay the bill, it's going to change. So we got to start holding them accountable by taking away their money. And they only get the money when they do their job. That's what I see. Okay, it says that, let's see. We all knew Colette. We knew that wasn't true, that she wasn't a drug addict, but they wouldn't listen to them. And it said that when the teenager's body was found in November, Claire Wilson reported as saying, Colette is dead, but we could bury her, according to grunge.com. Colette Wilson was buried at South Park Cemetery in Texas alongside her father and her siblings, John and Ethan. In 1998, Edward Harold Bell, a convicted murderer who was serving 70 years for killing a Marine, and then fleeing to Panama, told prosecutors he had also killed 11 girls in the 1970s. He said he could not remember all the names of his victims, but they included a number of those whose bodies were found in Texas killing fields. Colette Wilson, along with Debbie Ackerman, Maria Johnson, Kimberly Pitchard, Rhonda Johnson, and Sharon Shaw. Bell died in prison in 2019, but was never charged for any of the killing field murders. Now, see, this is a perfect case to use DNA. So you get, if they don't have his actual DNA, which they should, if he was in prison in 2019, he died in prison, they should have his DNA. And then test it and see if it connects to any of these women or any other people that have been murdered or any cold cases. That's how we'll solve a lot of stuff, is that. But guess what? That costs money. But when you have billions of dollars being sent to other countries to teach, kindergartners about, being transgender or whatever, like all this money that Doge has found wasted, right? Take some of that money and spend it on this. If we just took the money that was wasted in every single state for the crap that some of these stupid fake daycares and all the other fake crap that we've seen, fake hospice stuff, and start giving it to the police officers in every single town in the state that has a DNA thing, and say, okay, all the cold cases in your state, this money is going to that. So that maybe we can solve all these, get all these crimes off the books simply with DNA. So anything they have DNA on, we can solve those cases by putting them in the system and join all these systems. You see, there's so many things we could do if we had people in government in your states that actually gave a shit about solving crimes and about using the money that we, the taxpayers, are paying to actually do something with it. Because just like I hear people say all the time, well, if you have a pharmaceutical company and they make a cure, for, let's say they make a cure for itchy skin or whatever, allergies. So if you took this pill, you'd never have allergies the rest of your life. And they give it to everybody. After a while, nobody's going to have allergies. So all the stuff that has to do with allergy stuff, they won't be selling it anymore because everybody's cured. So when they cure everyone, they don't make money. That's why they don't cure people. They won't cure you because once you're cured, you don't buy their pharmaceuticals anymore. They have to come up with something else to make. And that's too much work. It's easier to keep you sick or to keep you just on the edge to where you feel good one day and the next day you don't. So you keep coming back. I mean, that's common sense. And God gave all of us common sense. It was just that people don't seem to use it for some reason. But, that's the way it is. Okay, now, here's the other one I saw a picture of. It said Laura Miller. On September 10th, 1984, Laura Miller, 16, disappeared a short distance from her home. In February 1986, her body was found near Calder Road on the same patch of land where the body of a missing 23-year-old Heidi, I can't pronounce her last name, Villa Realfray, had been discovered in April 1984. Laura Miller's killer has never been brought to justice. And what's really hard, though, is that when there's nothing but bones left, you can't get DNA off the bones. So if you find them before they're just bones, you might have a chance of being able to solve the crime. The only way you would be able to solve a crime like that is circumstantial evidence, because they would have to prove that this person was the last person with them, that someone saw him drive off, whatever, or cell phones, that kind of stuff. That's it. You wouldn't be able to use DNA on a bone to prove who's the one that did it. It's really hard to get evidence when you got old cases like that. They had to get it from the body because it was found, with clothes and means of having, DNA left on the clothing or the skin or in the hair or, on the body. It says, as seen in the Texas killing fields on Netflix, Laura's father, Tim Miller, and other victims' parents didn't believe the authorities were doing enough to track down the killer or killers, which I've seen a few documentaries about a few of the things, and just seeing what happened with the Green River killer because they were prostitutes and how little effort that some of the cops put into it because they were just prostitutes. The guys getting away with murdering people. And later on, when they caught him, what was really, really disgusting about it is that he took his little boy with him a few times. And he'd knock his little boy out with I don't know what that stuff is called. They put it on a rag and you put it over your mouth and you pass out from it. And he would do that to his own kid just so he could rape and murder these women that he'd pick up because it was harder. It wasn't as hard to get someone to trust him because he had a little kid with him. See, it's sick. What a sick piece of shit. Ugh. And he begged, "Don't kill me. Don't kill me." They're all like that. All of them are big pussies, especially men that kill little kids still. That one guy in Colorado that suffocated his two little girls and stomped them down in those little oil tanks, put their little tiny bodies down that 8-inch hole. Oh, coward, piece of shit. And he gets to breathe every day. I just think that's so unfair. I just don't understand it. They should be so glad that I'm not in law enforcement or work for these people, or I knew him personally. I could, talk him into going somewhere or whatever. He would just disappear. You know what I mean? There's so many ways we could take care of some of these things. Other countries do it. They just chop their heads off or whatever it is that they do in these other countries when people do these kind of crimes and they capture them. And they probably don't even have DNA. They just have 2 or 3 witnesses saying that's the guy, or that's the woman that did it. And they just get rid of them. See, at least in our country, we go to court, we have to present evidence, and we have to prove that, DNA or, witnesses and other things, because we actually have a judicial system. And it really does work. I've been in court quite a few times watching other people go and sitting, for jury duty and paying attention to what's going on with other things. And it's very interesting. But I think it's fair. I mean, compared to what I've seen on other countries, the way that they've done things. And, if you pay attention and listen and do as you're told by the lawyers and things like that, and the judge, I think that it's pretty fair. I really do. It really is. We have a good system. It's just that we just don't have enough people willing to arrest these people and take them to court. They let them cop a deal. You got a kid that gets molested when they're 8 or 9 years old, and then they get the molester. He instead of risking 60 years in prison, because going to get a jury trial and all that, he could get 60 years of hard time, right? So he begs for leniency, and then he agrees to admit that he did this thing or that thing and not these other things for 20 years 20 years in prison instead of 60, right? So he gets 20 years, but every 5 years, the poor kid that was molested and raped by this person has to go and fight to keep him in jail because he's up for parole after 5 years. What happened to 20 years? When you're told he's getting 20 years, you think 20 years, then he gets to go up for parole. But no, they have to drag the victims in over and over and over again to fight to try to keep the criminal in jail. And they're constantly, raped over and over again, basically, by the system, because the victims are last. And until we figure out to fix that, I mean, some states are getting better at it, though. They're getting better at keeping them in there. If they get a good judge, they get a good sentence. That means you're not up for parole at all until you've served your time. You served your time up to this time, after 20 years or whatever, then you can have a chance to be up for parole. It's sickening that the victims are dragged in over and over again. Sad, but it says here, in 2000, an established Texas EquiSearch, a volunteer organization that helps families to try to locate missing members. According to its website, the group has worked on more than 2,000 cases and discovered over 300 bodies and 400 living people. Wow, that's awesome, to save that many people, to find them. Tim Miller suspects his next door neighbor, Clyde Hendrick, was responsible for Laura's death. And in July 2022, Tim Miller won a wrongful death lawsuit against Hendrick, which he had filed in 2014. Look how long it took. He was awarded $24 million in liability and damages. After the hearing, Tim Miller told reporters, "I filed the wrongful death suit to let Clyde Hendrick know that, Clyde, I'm still here. I'm still here, and I'm not going to quit until the day I die." He sounds as stubborn as I do. "I wanted to let Clyde know that I know what you did to my daughter, and I'm not going to let you rest until I have you where you need to be for the rest of your life." Wow, what an awesome dad. He added, "As time goes by and the more information I get and the more information I'm continue to get, I have no doubt in my mind Clyde Hendrick was responsible for Laura's murder." It's a shame that we can't get these people, like O.J. Simpson, some of these others with all this evidence in the court of law for a criminal case. We have to take it to civil court. It sucks that we have to go to civil court to win against them. Now we can take their money and take 25 years to try to get it, if you even get any of it, right? Because I know that OJ lost in court for millions of dollars to the young man who he murdered, supposedly. I think he did. He was told he had to pay so many $1 million to that family, which I don't think he paid any. Honestly, I don't think he paid him a dime. So it's sad, but it made him feel good to know that they got justice for their son. That's what I think that I saw that in a documentary about what they said afterward, because they knew that he was the one that killed him. Their blood was all over his socks, the foot of his bed. Their blood spatter. So it's really pathetic, that whole mess, because he had money and who he was. He got away with it. But he didn't, because God always wins in the end, I think. It said he was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in 2014 and released from prison in October 2021. His current whereabouts are unknown. Sad that someone could kill someone and ever get out of prison, isn't it? When you think about it. Shelley Sykes, 19, was last seen on May in 1986 as she drove home from her job at Gialdo's Seafood Restaurant on the beachfront in Galveston. Her body has never been found, and she's presumed dead. Oh, it's awful. Gerald Zuert and John King were convicted of her aggravated kidnapping in 1988. They were later sentenced to life in prison, where they both died. King died in October 2015 and Swartz in November 2020. It said Swartz had been denied parole in 2012 and 2017 ever since Sykes' disappearance. Her family fought to ensure the two men remained behind bars. Ahead of Swartz's 2012 parole hearing, Sykes' sister Dana Wild told the Bay Area Citizen, even if he gets denied parole this time and he gets put up for 5 more years, I know that in 5 more years, we're going to be doing this again. So isn't that terrible? That the victims just constantly get dragged back to court just to keep the criminal in jail, because the criminals have more rights than the victims, which is sickening to me. I wish there was a way we could fix that. I wish there was a lawyers smart enough to fix it to where they'd say, hey, all we have to do is do this, this, and this, and we can keep the prisoners in prison. I mean, aren't there any lawyers out there that can write stuff like that for our lawmakers to make laws using that and not have to worry about making millions of dollars off of it, just so we can save our country from criminals? You'd think that somebody would volunteer to do something like that, a good deed for their state. You know, it's sad that we don't have anyone who wants to do anything just because it's the right thing to do. We don't have enough people. I don't know. He said, every time that the sore begins to heal, then something scratches the surface off and it's bleeding all over again. I know exactly what she's talking about, because that's just exactly what I was talking about in a case where a molester molests a kid, and the kid has to go back every 5 years to beg them, please don't let this person out. This person molested multiple people, and they're getting up on to go out and be able to be young enough to still do it to a bunch more kids. It's sickening. Renee Richardson, 22, was last seen alive October 7th, 1988. 16 years later, in July 2004, her parents, Clyde and Kathy Richardson, hoped they might finally get some answers when bone fragments were retrieved from under a home in Galveston. The bones came from the former home of an unnamed suspect in her disappearance. The anonymous caller had contacted police with a tip saying she had seen 2 men move Richardson's remains from a grave under the home to another location in 1992. However, after investigation, the bones were ruled to be that of an animal. Speaking to the Houston Chronicle, Clyde Richardson said, "We're very disappointed. We were hoping we would find something real this time." I really do feel bad for them. That's horrible. And to have somebody say that they saw them move the body, you know, and what'd they do? Were they afraid they would be killed by this person if they told anyone, or if they, went to the cops? But yeah, see, these are just some of the victims from that one area. Just in that 125, I think it's 25 miles, a 25-mile square, and everything I've been telling you about, these are all bodies found in that area. And I'm still reading off names. It's mind-boggling to know that these people are walking. They're at the grocery store when you shop. They're at the mall. They're going to the baseball games. They're sitting in the stand somewhere. They're everywhere. These people that want to kill other people for fun because they can't help themselves. A lot of them probably have done it, and they've gotten away with it, like BTK for many, many years. BTK walked amongst his neighbors and relished in the fact of what he did, because he had pictures and all kinds of stuff to remember, what he did. I did a show a couple weeks back, and I called it Clinton Side. It was after hours, and it was all about the Bill and Hillary having to go before Congress and answer those questions about the whole Epstein Island and stuff. And you see our ex-president sitting there with his two lawyers, one on each side, and they're showing him pictures. And when they handed him those pictures of him in the hot tub with some of these young girls, he just lit up. His eyes got wide and he was so excited to look at that picture, and he was just loving it, smiling and kind of giggly about it. And his lawyer snatches it from him because he was making a spectacle of himself, and he took it back from her, and he was going through and looking and pointing. He just thought it was great. But if you go back and you watch that, that's basically what happened when Ted Bundy got to look at some pictures. And when they did that documentary and they interviewed Ted Bundy when they were trying to catch their Green River Killer, with the real FBI agents and stuff that were trying to solve the Green River case, because it was like 48 women that had been murdered by this person that they know of. These are just the ones they know that were murdered. Now, we don't know how many other ones that they haven't found the bodies yet. Just like I said earlier, that they did find another young victim, I think a 14, 15-year-old that was connected to Ted Bundy. And they proved that it was Ted Bundy's DNA. So he even killed more people than what he's been put in prison for or got the death penalty for. But what was disgusting about it that people don't want to know because they don't want to dive deep into some of this stuff is the fact that Ted Bundy, when they approached him and they said, what can we do? What do you recommend that we try to catch the Green River Killer? And he said, well, if you find a fresh body, stake it out because he's going to come back to it. He's going to want to play with it or whatever, because Ted Bundy did that. See, if you think about it, Ted Bundy murdered a woman in the woods. And I'm just using one of the women that he talked about. He would go back to her corpse and he would brush her hair and it was falling out. He talked about it falling out in the brush, right? He's combing her hair and he's putting makeup on her and stuff. And then he has sex with the dead body, necrophilia. Okay. Reminiscing about what it was like to rape and murder this woman. Okay. That's sick. And he was reliving what he did, and he was loving, is relishing in it. That's what they do. They just think about, that's why they can remember every aspect, where they buried their bodies years and years later, because they think about it over and over and over again. They just relish in it. And the same thing with the Green River Killer. When they finally did capture him, I don't know if any of you know about the Green River Killer, but all this kind of stuff reminds me of other serial killers that are famous that they have caught. And they just caught someone for 2 of the girls that they know of that he was involved in their murders because of DNA. And I hope that they can connect them to a few others if they were there. But see, just because they were all dumped there doesn't mean it was all one person that killed all these women. And plus it was over spans of time. So I'm sure it was multiple people that did these killings. But the fact that we had 34 young women and women found, their bodies were found there. 34 people were murdered and dumped like garbage in that area. Just like the 48 that the one man, the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, murdered in Washington State. He murdered all those women. And that's just the ones that we know he murdered. Okay, those are just the ones that they could prove that he killed and he confessed to. But the thing is, he was sick. He was a sick person, because I remember one of the things when they were interviewing him, when they were investigating, because they were doing it during the Ted Bundy interview and stuff, they were talking about different rituals supposedly that they thought that the Green River Killer was doing, because he was a Satan worshiper. And what they thought was, because when they found some of the women in the water, because they were in the Green River, and they pulled the bodies out, she had rocks up inside of her vagina and stuff like that. And they said it had to be a ritual, some kind of sick satanic ritual. So when they finally had a chance to ask Gary Ridgway, why did you put rocks up inside the women? And was it some kind of ritual, to a Satan worshiping ritual? And he said, no. He acted like they were nuts, okay, because he was doing it. He said it was so other men wouldn't have sex with them. So he actually believed in his sick mind that if you were walking down by the river and you saw this body floating there, all bloated and rotting with flies on it and stuff, that you would want to have sex with it. A normal person, because his sick mind, that's how he thinks. He's sick, psycho, even though he knew it was wrong. Okay, he knew the difference between right and wrong, and he knew if he strangled them or beat them over the head with a rock or whatever, that he could kill them, because he'd already killed multiple people, so he knew they would die. Right? So he knew it was wrong, and that's why he hid their bodies. That's why he put them in the river, or he hid them in the woods and things like that. He didn't just leave them laying in the street. When he was done, just dump them out of his truck and just leave them there. He tried to hide them because he knew it was wrong. So he knew what he was doing was wrong, even though in a morbid way, he thought some of the things that he was doing with them was normal. And he had a girlfriend or a wife. I can't remember if he was married or not. But he treated her a little different than he did his victims. And he didn't kill her. I don't know why, but he thought that prostitutes were scum of the earth and, they deserved to die. And that's how he looked at them. They weren't worthy of living or whatever. And he felt he was God and he could take their lives. And he did. And that's the sad truth, is that he did take people's lives. He took life from them. And he's just sitting in prison. I think he's still alive. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But it's really sickening, the state that we're in, of how many people that we have that commit crimes like this. And what do we do to stop it besides punish them? If they see they can be punished, they don't go to those states, or less of them go to those states and commit these crimes in those states. States like California is the #1 most serial killers. Now, yeah, people could say, oh, it's the biggest state, that's why. Well, yeah, it could be. Part of the reason is because it's so big and it's so vast. They have so many woods and mountains and so many good places to hide bodies, just like we were talking about with the killing field in Texas, 25 miles of land where it's easy to put people there. Just like one of the cops said, that if you were there and you were taken there to be killed, raped and murdered, and you were able to break your bonds and start running, where are you going to run to? There's refineries, or down there and stuff. It's barren. There's nobody there, hardly anyone there. And if you ran screaming, no one would hear you. That's why they took people there to kill, because it was such a good place. It was so desolate and barren, and they could leave the body there. Most likely it probably would never be found. Many years later, between these women, and a lot of times the only reason they found some of the bodies was because they were looking for someone else, because somebody rode the cops' ass, made them get off their ass and do their job, and they found that body of the victim they were looking for. But they also found multiple other bodies because they happened to go there. See, and look. That's the only reason they found some of these other girls. They'd probably still be lost out there if it hadn't been for the determination of a parent or a sister or a cousin or whatever, saying, I want you to go there. I'm gonna go to the police station every day until you get off your ass and find the person I'm looking for. So determination of a parent that says every day they go in, they say, oh, what have you found? It makes a difference. It really does, because most of the cases that I've been able to really look into had family members that didn't give up. They were constantly calling the cops saying, where have you got, what have you found? Have you found anything new? What's going on? What have you found in the case? You know, and they go on the news. They go and they write a book, you know, or they go on TV shows, talk about it, or they get a person to write a book or a TV series, you know, or show about the murder of their loved one. They do whatever they can to keep that person's name in the news. So you know, and sometimes that makes a difference. It just depends on whether or not you have good judges and stuff, because what we've seen on the news about the woman that was stabbed in the neck in the subway that was just sitting on the train, and a career criminal that was arrested like 35 times was out again, and he just decided that this pretty little blonde didn't deserve to live, and I'm going to take her life. And he did. Stabbed her in the throat, and she bled to death. And then we all find out, oh yeah, look, he was he should have been in prison, but because they had weak judges there, that, oh, poor him, you know, whatever. It's not going to be my kid that's going to die because I don't live in the city. So they could care less about your family. They just put them right back on the street again. And that's how they die. That's how multiple people get killed, because they just keep putting the same people right back out on the street. And if they've killed one person or attacked people, you don't think they're going to do it again? Guess what? They do. And they have. But yet, that's not a big deal to them. So let me turn this off. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next thing. Oh yeah, this one was something I thought was really kind of creepy. So hold on, I gotta. Oh, darn it. I'm sorry. I muted myself. So hold me. Get rid of the one. Don't know what. So hold on a second. I don't know how that happened, but let me get that other thing open. Where is it? I don't know what it is. Okay. Here we go. Interesting. Hmm. Oh, okay, got that fixed. All right. Oh, are they? What is this? What is this supposed to mean? The Japanese are now becoming obsessed with sausage gravy and biscuits. Isn't everyone? That's what I was going to say. But this right here, this, I think this is the. Let me make sure. Let me go up here to the top. Okay. This was something I found because I thought it was interesting, because I don't know personally, I don't know any of these people, and I don't live in Houston or anywhere near Houston. But this whole thing is from 48 Hours on CBS, and they did a show in 2011, And they said, can you help solve these cases? And I'm going to copy this real quick and put it in the chat so you can go to this website yourself and look at some of this information. I'm going to go over a little bit of it, but I'm going to gotta move this down here. I'm going to share some of it, talk about some of it, so that maybe if you do know anything, or you know of anyone that might know something, because this was a long time ago. It was in the 70s and 80s, I think in 90s, when a lot of these people disappeared. But it says that these are for victims that were found, their bodies were found in a killing field in that one area that we've been talking about, and they're still unsolved. These are the pictures. It says Brenda Jones, 14, of Galveston, Texas, was last seen walking to visit an aunt on July 1st. We talked about some of these earlier, but these all have phone numbers. There's phone numbers on here so that you can call if you've seen this photo before, or if you've seen this photo in a book that someone else has, like a notebook or something. And all these are all their pictures of all the victims. I'm going to go over it really slow, with phone numbers to call if you recognize any of these people, or any of the information. That way, maybe somebody can catch somebody. But that's one of the reasons. After I saw the stuff about the Golden State Killer, now they hadn't caught him yet, but they were looking into stuff like that. It was a show, and it was about a couple of police officers that were detectives, and how they had decided to just take the DNA that they had from the killer, that they had gotten from multiple victims. I'm going to still show all these girls, still just going down really slow. Look at all these beautiful lives that were taken from these young women. They were just taken off the planet because somebody believed they had the right to do it. It's sad, isn't it? Look at this girl, 12 years old. Not even an adult, not even old enough to even really understand what's going on with life yet. None of these people really were. 17, she probably was still in high school. These are all people that are still missing, some of them. Oh, it's just sad. So here's a woman, she's 57, and she disappeared. Terrible. 16-year-old Teresa. It's terrible. But I shared that in the chat. So if you want, and you can, if you have Facebook, which I don't, I think I might keep this one. And each day I'm going to post one of these pictures with the information on it on my YouTube channel, on my community page. I think I'm going to do that with all this information under it, just to show that, you know, somebody happens to see it and thinks that, I remember, you know, my grandpa had a picture of that person, you know, they had it in a box or whatever. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just saying, I don't know what else to do, but it's sad that all these people are missing, or, you know, unsolved or whatever. But, you know, finding these people's killers, the person that took these people away from their families, would be a really good thing. But I'm going to keep this one. I just copied that. I'm going to paste it on my notes, because I'm going to definitely post these pictures on my YouTube channel, because I believe that I got to try something, right? But I'm going to stop sharing that. And now I'm going to bring up the next one that I have. I was trying to find one that had a whole bunch. I think I might have deleted it on accident because this group that I had a while ago, I deleted it on accident. I didn't mean to. It was a thing about serial killers that we have right now that's going on. So darn it. I really wish I could find that one. But here's another one that I found when I was looking up the Texas killing fields. Inside the disturbing history of the Texas killing fields and all the murders that remain unsolved. It says since 1970, up to 30 young women have gone missing along a stretch of interstate between Houston and Galveston known as the Texas killing fields. The police believe that some of them could be the victims of a single unknown serial killer. And I can believe that. Remember, I think it was in Newark or somewhere in, like right there on the cusp of New York and New Jersey, that they were finding bodies, bunches of bodies there, because they tend to stay in a radius, near where they live, somewhere they can come and go when they want. And another reason why they would throw the bodies in a certain place or put them in a certain place, even if nobody ever finds them, because if they drive by it, they know that it's there. Like Ted Bundy would say that, when he would go by where he knows their bodies were at, he would fill them with excitement or whatever. And when he talked about it, it was just disgusting listening to him. But the only way to find out about serial killers is to interview other ones, right? And it's sad to say that, but that's how you can get into the heads of some of them. I think his name was Edmund Kemp. He was the co-ed killer, I think. And the only reason I know that is because there was a TV show about, this kind of stuff. And I can't remember the name of it right this second, but it was a really good show. And they went real in depth about how serial killers do their whatever, to find victims and stuff, but also how they solve these crimes and how they got into putting stuff together, task force and stuff on how to find these people and to be able to arrest people like that and to put them in prison. Like what they interviewed like Ted Bundy, and they interviewed Edmund Kemper and just other ones. Some I can't remember their names and stuff, but it was very believable and lifelike to me, though, because after watching real documentaries with certain people, they did a good job at making it as real as possible. And I know people that still love, what's the name of that show? NCIS, the one with, can't remember what his name is. They've been on it forever, it seems like. But the same guy is all these season after season. He's the one in charge. I can't remember what his name is, but he married the actress that played in Mork and Mindy. Pam Dauber is his wife, but I can't remember what his name is right this second. But he has a show, and it's been for years and years and years. But it's they solve crimes and stuff, but in the military or something. It was a Navy, crime solving or whatever. But they did a good job. It was a good show. It stayed on TV for a very long time, so it people liked it. But it's sad that we really do have crimes like that. That people just kill people for money. They kill people for jealousy. They kill people for greed. Then you have other young people that just want to see what it's like to kill someone because they're messed up, morbid, weird, sick people. We got lots of people like that. And then we have parents that, for whatever reason, don't notice their kids have, problems with wanting to cut up animals, and they're void of feelings, things like that. I don't know. It's just really, really heartbreaking to see how bad off our country is, because I can't really talk about other countries. One of the most famous serial killers I've ever heard of was Jack the Ripper, and he was in England. So they do have them in other countries. It's not just here. I just know that because we have a country with 380 million people in it, you're going to have a lot more, victims and a lot more serial killers, killing at one time or over a certain amount of time in our country compared to others, because we just have so many more, people. But there was hold on, I'm gonna look at a couple of these real quick, because I thought for sure. I just don't see it. I don't see it now. I had a channel brought up that had a list showing the different states and how many serial killers we had in each state that we knew that there was active serial killers. And one of them was, I think it was on Reddit, and I don't have Reddit personally, and most people that I know that have it, it's kind of weird, some of the things they read to me, and so it's kind of a creepy, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I think Reddit is weird. I mean, to me, all the people on there just seem creepy. I don't know. Probably because I just don't spend enough time on it, but they think there's really cool stuff on there. So a lot of my friends use it. I don't really feel comfortable with it, but I don't have Facebook either because I think Facebook is creepy. I don't like the thought police, whatever you want to call it. I don't like them. I think they're biased and they're lopsided, because I felt like I was attacked for certain things because of my point of view, and others weren't, because there was a few things that I did on there and I got in trouble for, but other people would do the same thing or a similar thing, and they didn't get in trouble, even though I reported it, just like I was reported for some of the things. And that's why I got rid of it. It was all over politics and shit. So I'm not going to worry about it. And plus, I think Zuckerberg is a disgusting pig. I just think he's nasty and disgusting, and he's a liar, just for money. And I hope all the billions and billions of dollars he has isn't going to give him happiness, because it isn't. He's disgusting. And look at Tiger Woods. I mean, Tiger Woods has had how many multiple accidents because he does drugs and does all that stuff. And you can be so rich and have so many things that so many people out here that work at Walmart or at Target or at the chicken plant, right? Or you drive a tractor, and clear lots or whatever for people, and you make a very small amount of money to pay your bills, take care of your family. Would think it would be so nice to have all the money that someone like Tiger Woods has, right? But look how miserable he is. You have all that stuff and still want to do drugs and drive around and be so messed up you don't even know what's going on around you. I can tell you right now, I like to drink wine, but I don't take drugs. I don't smoke pot. I hardly ever drink soda pop. I haven't had a soda pop, I'm thinking, like 16 years now. Because I work out and I try to take care of myself because I want to live as long as I can, but I want to be healthy, and I want to be able to walk and talk and do things for myself when I'm in my 80s. I want to be able to interact with people. But now I'm not saying it's going to guarantee me to have that, but I want to do the best I can to try to get that, but we're all at the whim of other people, as we're finding out on this show, that you could just be walking to your car in the grocery store and someone just hits you over the head and no one ever sees you again. So just be careful out there, people. Pay attention to your surroundings. Don't go places. Don't go hang out at a gas station, just because some other friends of yours wants to do it. It's just not safe. You don't know those people. And honestly, if you do know them and they really cared about you, would they really want you to hang out at a gas station with them? Go to their apartment, go to an apartment, somewhere safer. Play cards, play board games, play video games, go do something where you're not hanging out with people that are just wanting to do drugs or gamble, stuff like that. It's just not worth it. A few extra dollars is not worth maybe dying or getting shot because you have $5 in your pocket that they don't have. It's just not worth it. I want to wake up tomorrow and I want to be able to call my sister and say, hi, I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. Maybe I'm just boring. Maybe I just have a boring life, but getting something like this and playing with it, at my desk or whatever, holding it and sharing it, talking about it with other people is worth getting up tomorrow for me. Maybe it isn't for someone else. I don't know. I don't understand it. All I know is that I just wish more people would think with common sense and realize that if I walk down that alley, there could be somebody waiting for me to kill me in that alley or take me or sell me or, make a slave out of me, make me clean their house. I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm not going to put myself in that position. I'm not going to go out with people and drink until I don't know who I am. If I'm going to drink, I'm going to do it with people I trust so that if I do pass out, at least I know I'm going to get home by people that I would take home because I care about them. That type of stuff. Use common sense and try to be safe. Don't go places with total strangers. I won't even use an Uber vehicle because I've heard so many horror stories about young women that leave a bar because they're tipsy or whatever, even two women. So you got to have at least 3 or more of you together to make it safer. That call an Uber, the Uber picks them up. The person that picks them up can barely speak English, okay? And they both pass out in the vehicle and he doesn't take them home. He takes them out in the middle of nowhere and rapes both of them and robs them and then leaves them there, okay? And guess what? He wasn't even an American citizen. He was illegal. So it's just not worth it. Even if they get the guy and they put him in jail, you can't take back what they did to you already. It's not worth it. It's not worth putting yourself in that situation. Don't do it. If you have to call a cop and say, can you take me home? I'm drunk. I don't want to go home and I'm afraid to call Uber or I'm afraid I'll pay the cop. Donate money to the police station and ask them to get you right home. Something like that. I'd rather get the shit embarrassed out of me, than to not go home, to never go home again. It's not worth that. I want to see my sisters. I want to see other people make it home. There's no, just because you had a couple too many drinks. And if you were out at the bar with your friends and they don't offer to take you home, then they're not good friends, are they? I don't know how many times, like I've said, in many of these little things that I've done, that I was usually the designated driver because everyone trusted me to take them home. I took many people that were drunk home and it wasn't fun. I mean, it wasn't fun for me because to have a bunch of people slobbering on you and crying or yelling and cussing or whatever, because everybody's different when they drink. Later on, they say, oh, I'm so sorry. I won't do that again. But, I still did it. And they all made it home alive and they all were able to get up the next day, even though they didn't feel good. So I was here for a reason to help some people, but you can't help everybody. You know what I mean? You can't help You can't be there for every person. There's always going to be somebody that isn't going to get the ride that they need or whatever. So the best thing to do is plan before you go. If you get called and they say, hey, meet us at so and so, don't drink. If you don't have a ride home or a guaranteed ride home, and you have to call an Uber or something like that, or take a city bus or something, just don't drink. You know, they make good pina coladas and other drinks like that have no alcohol in it. Nobody will know. You just tell them, just order it and don't tell anyone. There's tons of stuff you can drink that has no alcohol, and you can fit in. No one will be making fun of you, and never take a drink from a stranger, ever. Even a guy, never take a drink from a stranger. If somebody just brings you a drink and hands it to you, don't drink it. If they want to buy you a drink, you have the waitress bring it to you, or the waiter, or you go to the bar and get it yourself. Period. Don't ever take a drink that some guy just walked over and say, hey, I bought us some drinks. Don't ever do that. Because you don't know the person. Now, if you know them, they're your friend or they're your brother or whatever, fine. But if it's someone you don't know, don't take that drink. Yeah, he might be cute, but guess what? You're never going to see him again, because he's gonna use you, abuse you, and dump you on the side of the road. And that's if it's a good night. If it's some psycho like what we've been talking about with these people, no one's ever going to see you again. So it's not worth it. It's not worth taking that risk. Don't take it. It's not worth it. Definitely not worth it. Because you're worth something. Don't let that person choose whether or not you live or not. See what I mean? It's not worth that. And they don't have that right. And don't give them that right by not doing what they think you're going to do. Don't take that drink. Even if it's a Coke, I'm just saying, don't take any drink. I don't care if it's water. Go get your own water or have the waitress bring it. You tell them thank you and set it down and just never touch it. I've seen many people do that. They'll say, oh, I bought you a drink, and you say thank you, and you set it down, and you just don't touch it. Don't drink it. So that way you won't have to worry about being embarrassed or hurting their feelings, because they're going to, especially if there's somebody that wants to drug you, they're going to be watching you like a hawk, waiting for you to drink from that. So as soon as you don't, they're going to know that you are smarter than they thought you were when they made the drink for you. So there you go. That's one way to say cheers. And not drink it. It's not worth that either. Because even if they're not a serial killer, they're just a date raper or whatever, or a groper or whatever they are, or they get in a dare or whatever it is, it's still not worth it. Not worth it. So just be safe. Don't let yourself get into something way over your head. But all of this story is sad. But with DNA now, I think a lot more of these are going to be solved, and we're going to have those doors closed, because these people are going to be found of who did it. Going to find out who did it, and then they may all be dead. Everyone involved in it may all be dead, but it's still closed. It's taken off the books. And that's what I would love to see. I would love to see us using the money that we're saving from all the criminal activity that's being turned off, all the spigots, that are being turned off, used for a good purpose, which is solving cold cases in every state. I mean, I think I saw it was like $1 billion with a B in California, just in that one county in California, that they wasted like billions of dollars on hospice fraud. And if you could stop that $1 billion of fraud there, I think that's enough money to send to every single state and say, here's a money, start solving your cold cases by sending in $1 with this money, use it to send into these labs with your DNA, and it's from these crime scenes, and see if we can solve some crimes and get a start, get some of these cold cases shut down. I think it would be freaking cool if we could do that. It would be great. It says, void of caring feelings is known as a psychopath. Yes, I know. I have watched 5 or 6 different documentaries about sociopaths, psychopaths, all these different types of personalities, and people with schizophrenia, different things like that. Because a lot of people with different psychoses like that aren't always killers. Some of them have violent tendencies, which means they lash out, or they might shove you or slap you or things like that, or throw things, but they're not necessarily a killer where they're going to plot your death, to throw you off a cliff, or to beat you with a rock, or buy insurance before they're going to get rid of you. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So that's why each case has to be done by itself. It may take longer because you're not doing it in bulk or whatever, but that's the only way, honestly, if you want to get real killers off the street, you have to do it one case at a time. Just like they said, a lot of these people on this property might have all been killed by the same person, but they weren't all killed on the same day. So each crime was done differently. Like, he might have taken one girl to his favorite place in the woods, to get rid of her, and another one he ended up killing in a vehicle, or he took another one to a abandoned house. See what I mean? So each of them were committed in a different place, using a different implement or a different way of killing, a different time of day. Different things like that. So then when he takes the body and he dumps it near, but not right where the other one is, just like I said, Ted Bundy remembered every single place that he had a body, just like I said. And then he thought, oh, I'm going to go back and see her. He would go and sit and talk to it, the corpse, and brush its hair or whatever, even though the hair was falling out and things like that. It was just disgusting when he was talking about it, because he did it with such, it's just gut wrenching just thinking about it, that somebody talks about it like it's something they do every day, like me saying, well, I get up in the morning and I brush my teeth and I do this. He talked about it like that, like it was something that a normal person does every day. And it was sickening to think about it, that we have people that are that bad, that are that fucked up in the head, that they could sit there and talk about it and proud. The way he talks about it was with pride, Oh, it's disgusting. I just don't know how we end up with these people. And, listening to Jeffrey Dahmer, talk about some of the things that he did. And it's sad that we have so many people like that. But what's really, really scary about all of it is, these are people we caught, that we put in prison. What about all the hundreds of them or more that are just out here, and they're sitting and having, lunch with you and your coworkers and stuff, and they've been out doing some of these things? To think about it, they interviewed the Green River Killer's wife, afterward, and I think it was her. I think that was the one, because it was pretty gruesome when they were talking about her. When they asked her, well, how did it make you feel when you found out who he was and what he was doing with all those women, knowing he came home to you at night and got in the same bed with you and stuff? To me, that was a horrible question to ask her, because how could anyone feel? You just want to boil yourself in a big vat to try to clean yourself up, knowing that this person kissed you, hugged you, touched you in all kinds of ways after they killed hundreds of people. Just the thought of it is mind blowing. You would need counseling. You would need a lot of help to know that you were married to someone who killed multiple people, you know, and then hugged you and said they loved you and did things with you, shopping, normal everyday stuff. And you just looked at them like they were just any normal person, and you cared about them and you loved them. And then you find out who you're married to is a psychopath that's murdering people. How devastating that must be. I feel so sorry for those. They're victims too. They weren't murdered. They might have been beaten. I don't know. I don't know what their relationship was, but the thing is that they are a victim also. They were lied to day after day after day, and this person put on airs to pretend to be normal with this person, and then you find out that they're not. That these people are who you spent many years with, probably, and not even know that they were out doing this. Maybe you suspected they were having an affair, or maybe you suspected they were embezzling from work because they come home with money and other things that they probably, you're wondering whether, and you'd ask, oh, I got a raise, or, whatever answer they would give them. And you want to believe them, because when you love someone, you care about them, you want to believe what they're telling you. Even though there's something off, that you can't put your finger on it. How horrible. The kids from those relationships, to know that you're growing up and that, if anybody finds out that you're so-and-so's daughter, how sick that would be and how hard it would be on a kid. But I just thought it was an interesting story when I first found out about it this morning. I think it was early this morning or late last night on my timeline, when Kash Patel posted that they had arrested that guy that was his DNA connected him to 2 murders of young women from the killing field in Texas. So that's what made me want to decide to try to talk about it and bring up as much as I could, because I'd never heard of it. The only killing field I'd ever heard of was that movie, and it was about a war, about the war, and they called it the killing field. I think it was in Vietnam or something like that, or Korea. I don't know for sure, because I don't remember seeing it. I just remember seeing the trailer and other people talking about the movie and stuff. So that's why I was like, that sounds familiar, but I didn't know Cambodia. Well, thank you, George. I appreciate that. I just remember that. I'll have to watch that movie now, because after seeing, looking it up and realizing, oh, wow, it looked like it was very popular or whatever. But, it's just sad to me. War movies are depressing and sad. My favorite movie, though, I've done a couple reviews about it. It's called The Great Raid. And it's a war. It's based on war, but it's not about fighting and killing. What it's about is it's based on a true story. It's about the only time our government has ever set up its own operation to rescue our POWs. Just like I said, I'm a huge supporter of the military and our veterans. And if you ever get a chance to watch the movie The Great Raid, you should, if you support the military, because it goes into detail how they planned it out, and they rescued over I think it was 501 of our POWs that had marched in the Bataan Death March in the Philippines, and they rescued these people, and they have real footage from the actual Bataan Death March and from the rescued soldiers at the end. And at the very end, they do have some interviews with actual veterans that were rescued during that whole thing. And it's just so heartwarming. And I can't believe how many hundreds of people that I've talked to about this movie that never even heard of it. Because I'm a military brat. So I spent a lot of my time around military bases, growing up on bases, moving a lot. And that's one reason why I think it's my favorite movie, simply because of the story it tells. It's truth about what our veterans went through when they were POWs. And that's why I have this button right here on my shirt. It says that POWs never have a nice day. I found it years and years ago. And my dad had like 5 or 6 of them, and he told me I could have this one. And I have another one on my microphone too. It helps me think about it, the sacrifices that a lot of our veterans made and decisions they had to make while they were serving their country. And I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful to be in a country that's free. It really has a lot of problems. We have a lot of problems in America, but guess what? It's still the best country in the world. We still have more rights than any other country. We can talk bad about our politicians. We can talk bad about our neighbors. We can praise things in our community. We can talk about movies. We can talk about music. We can, wear pretty much anything we want. Like, I can wear these glasses. I can wear another pair of glasses if I don't like this pair. Let's say I don't like them because I want pink. I can wear pink. I had the right to do that in this country. I got the right to dye my hair red, brown, white, purple, green, blue, blonde. And I can do just about anything I want because I have the right to do that here. And I have the right to post it on the internet and not worry about the government coming to my house and arresting me because I hurt somebody's feelings. I've had horrible stuff posted to me on my channel. I've had death threats, and I have nobody, I'm just a teeny tiny channel, but people hate me because of I'm conservative, because I believe in children getting to be children their whole childhood and not being forced against their will to make decisions that they shouldn't have to make because they're kids, right? People hate me because of it. People hate me because I said I voted for Trump. That's another reason I deserve to die. People wanted to put me in a camp because I didn't get the jab. There's lots of reasons people hate me, which is fine. They don't have to like me. But guess what? I was one of those people that was told that I didn't deserve to have medical care because I wouldn't get the jab if I get sick, and I didn't get it. I never got COVID, and I was tested once. I made them take my blood, and I never had COVID. Because I was one of the lucky ones, because I have allergies and I constantly wash my hands. I watch what I touch. I don't, I throw away my Kleenexes. I do a lot of things simply because I have allergies. And I know how viruses spread, and you wearing a mask doesn't stop a virus, stuff like that. And plus, it can go in your eyes. You got blood vessels in there. So, I guess I just understood a lot more than other people seem to understand. But guess what? When it started coming out that the jab didn't help you, didn't stop the spread, I never said, oh, round them all up and put them in camps. I never said anything like that because I thought all of us were lied to. And, me fighting for what I believe is right helps everyone. It doesn't just help me and not help the people that got the jab. Because guess what? Half my family did. And I love them. And my love didn't change just because they got a jab and I didn't. I constantly had people in my family bringing me the COVID test kits and said, here, you need to get tested. You need to get tested. You need to get tested. You need 24 hours a day, it seemed like, 5 times a week. Guess what? I still said, no, I don't have a fever. I'm not sick. And I never got sick. So it's just sad that so many people are willing to push other people around. But the people that they pushed around, are they pushing you around now? They're not, are they? So maybe next time you'll listen to them when they try to give you some advice and say, hey, I think that's a bad idea. I want you to give yourself a few days to think about it. Don't rush into stuff like that. I lost lots of jobs because I wouldn't do it. I just moved around and said, well, I have to figure out another way to make money because they're not going to hire me because I didn't get the jab. And that's what I did. I started, cleaning houses and other things like that to make money and I'd work in a chicken plant. I do whatever I have to. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. Wait tables, any of those things. But I was willing to do that because of what I believed was wrong. And I thought it was wrong to make anyone have to get something against their will, When they say, hey, you don't have to get it, but you can't work here if you don't get it. Then I said, okay. So I left. But guess what? I wasn't in the military. But when they said, this is when I started having really bad problems with it, was when they said stuff like, if you're in the military, in the Navy, in the Army, in the Marines, Coast Guard, or any of that, you have to get this or you're getting out of the military. When they did that, but then they exempted everyone that worked for the post office. Interesting. And most of the people in Congress were exempt if they didn't want to get it. Makes you think. You young man who went to 8 weeks of boot camp, you got to get jabbed up or you're out. But you got a job at the post office, you don't have to get it. What the fuck is that shit? See what I'm saying? It's wrong. That's when I knew it was fucked up. There's something wrong. When they start telling you have to do it or you're going to lose your livelihood, that's messed up. And then they weren't making everybody do it, just some people. Then there was people that went against the rules, and a nurse, and instead of actually giving them a shot, she just gave them a shot of saline solution because she knew something was not right. She had that gut feeling that was not right. Then I knew people in the movie industry, because that's what I was in the entertainment industry, that had fake documents that said they got the jab. And I could have done that. I could have paid someone hundreds of dollars and got a card, and they signed it with a real doctor's signature and stuff to say I got the jab, and then kept working. But guess what? I didn't do that either because that was wrong. That's lying to get a job. And I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I talked to my family and my sisters and said, if I have to have surgery, if an ambulance comes to get me, if you have to, tell them I got the shot just so they don't give it to me. I don't want anyone to give me a jab. And I don't want to go to hospital or anything. So I did everything I could possibly do not to get sick, to not have to go to the doctor, because I didn't want to be unconscious and have someone jab me up without my permission. I quit donating blood. I quit doing a lot of things that I wanted to do that I did before. Because I've given over 3 gallons of blood. I've donated over 3 gallons of blood before COVID. And I did it because I wanted to help people, because I have high platelet count. So I used to donate platelets for people with, blood disorders, hemophilia, things like that. So I put my money where my mouth is. I really do try to do the right thing. I do everything I feel that would make my mother proud of me. Even though she's not alive anymore, she can see everything I do. So I feel like she can see when I don't do the right thing. So I try to do the right thing. And I wish more people cared enough about themselves and closing your eyes at night, knowing you have to live with whatever decisions you've made, and who'd you lie to get what you wanted. You know what I mean? And I hope you guys are guilty as hell, and you have to worry and stress over that every day, knowing that you lied and tore other people down to get what you have. And I think that's why a lot of people are miserable. They're at the top, or we look at them and think they're at the top because they have a huge mansion, they got lots of money, They got lots of boyfriends, or they got lots of girlfriends, or they got fancy cars. They're on TV all the time, whatever it is, and they're miserable. They go home and they cry. They hate themselves, and I feel bad for them. But until they realize that they're the only ones that can make a change, nothing's going to change. Just like I say every day about our communities, you and I are the only ones that can fix our states. The government's already proven to us they can't do it. That's why it's fucked up. And it's still fucked up. But because I went and I voted and I worked the polls and I talked to other people, and enough people like me voted for Sarah Huckabee Sanders, guess what? She's our governor. And guess what? Now we have real milk in school. Little things that seem small but are important, because now we got kids that are going to be drinking real milk, not 2% milk. It's not good for their teeth. It's not good for their bones. They're not getting enough calcium. They're not getting enough vitamin D. Little changes like that can make a huge difference, not for me, because I'm already grown, but for our kids. One day they're going to be our age, and they're the ones going to be in charge. So, and they're the ones that need to know about these stories, that there are serial killers out there. There are bad people. And that we can't pretend and make it all safe for them, because we can't put them in a plastic bubble and watch where they roll around all day for the rest of their lives. We can't do that. We have to prepare them to live in the real world. They got to know how to cook. They got to know how to sew a hole in their pants or a hole in their sock, how to iron their clothes, how to fix their hair, how to bathe, how to brush their teeth, all those things. That's up to us as parents. We have to teach them that. We have to teach them that there really are psychos out there that will kill them, run them over with a car. A dog will attack them. I mean, all pets aren't good. We have to teach them all these things, even if they're bad things. If we don't show them, the only way they're going to find out is when someone else does it to them. And I'm not waiting for that. I'm not waiting around for someone to do something to my kid simply because I didn't think, oh, it's appropriate to tell my kid about that. I didn't want to tell my kids about sex when I had to, but I had to because one of my kids came home from school and said, hey, Mom, what's a wet dream? And I had to sit down and say, well, I have to explain, because I'm going to tell the truth to them, because I don't want to make up something just because it fits in. It makes me look like, oh, I don't want them to say the real word for that. I'm not going to tell them, oh, it's called a pickle. It's not called a penis. Can't put them in that position when they're fighting for their life at school, because other people are going to push their points of view on them. So you have to be the one to tell them the truth, even if it's not something you really want to tell them. Because if you don't tell them, someone else is going to tell them their version of the truth. So I would rather it come from me than someone else, At least that's how I feel. That's my point of view. And that's what I say all the time. I do this because I'm trying to help people stay informed about something they probably never heard of. I had never heard of the killing fields, Texas killing fields, until I read that story that Kash Patel put out, that they had used DNA and caught a man that was DNA proves he was involved in 2 of these murders. So, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. So I started looking into it and found out about this whole thing. It's called the Texas killing fields. And I was like, that's awful. It's terrible. And then I started talking to a few of my friends that are from Texas. I said, yeah, I know all about that. I know people that live there, blah, blah, blah. And they started telling me, I'd never heard of it. Why? Well, it's probably because I didn't live in Texas, even though my mother, her family's from Denton and all in that area. And I have other relatives from different areas in Texas, but I didn't live in Texas myself. So it wasn't something I knew anything about. But man, I'm glad I read about it, because it's a horrible thing. But guess what? That happens in every single state has had a serial killer in it, or more than one. And guess what? We have active ones right now. The FBI thinks there's at least 50 active serial killers right now in the United States. And 50 is not a lot when you consider that we have 380 million people in our country. But there's been more serial killers in California than any other state. And then I think Texas is number 2. New York is in the top, 10. Just certain areas, definitely states with lots more people are going to have a higher count. Like Arkansas, I didn't even see it in the top, 25, 30 states. It's because it's so small. I mean, the whole state of Arkansas doesn't even have in it as many people as the city of New York has. So, and I'm sure there's multiple states, probably Oklahoma, Missouri, a few other states, small states like that, have fewer people than the city of New York has in one city. It's because it's rural. It's just, you can drive for an hour, a whole hour. You could drive and look both ways and see nothing, no people's homes, but you might see cows, stuff like that, or a chicken house or something, but you can drive and not see, homes, neighborhoods or anything like that. A lot of people have no idea what that's like. You can't drive a whole hour and not see anything. But in some of the places I'm lucky enough to live, that's what it's like. I mean, when my dad got out of the military, he moved where my mother's mom lived at the time because my mom wanted to be near her mother. I think that, a lot of people do stuff like that. They want to move more close to the relatives. That's the way we end up moving. So, everybody ends up in certain places for a reason. I don't think most people just end up somewhere. It's because you had a job there, or you had relatives there, or maybe you inherited a piece of property there. It could be a lot of reasons why, but most people don't just get on a bus and just say, take me anywhere, and then just get off the bus and say, okay, we're gonna live here. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, it's not reality. But you in your life can control who you have in your life. If you feel like there's people in your life that aren't looking out for you, maybe you should figure out a way to get out of that relationship. Those friends are not real friends if they don't really care whether or not you get up tomorrow, right? So, I think it's important that we all start stepping up to the podium and taking control of our lives again, and stop letting people talk us into doing things we don't want to do. It's my life, and I'm going to live it the way I see fit. And if I don't spend all day on X, or all day on Instagram, or all day on Facebook, and then you decide, well, I haven't seen you forever. So, you think I just gave up on you. Well, maybe I have other things I have to do. Maybe I have a real life, so, and I have real people that I talk to. I don't have to just sit and listen to people talk all day on an app, because that's all that they have at that time in their life. And that's sad in a way. But I've met some really good people on some of these apps. And they're still friends of mine after many, many years of being friends with them on X or on Discord. I have some real good friends on Discord. A lot of people don't like Discord, but guess what? I've been on it since, I think, 2016 because of a nerd reason why I'm on there. And I'm still a nerd, and I'm still on there, and I have my own Discord. So if I don't like someone, I can just kick them out because it's mine. So I run it. And I do go to other people's Discords, and if I don't like what they do or whatever, I just leave. So, and we're lucky. We live in America. We can do that still. If you don't like an app that you're on, leave. Go to a new one. There's tons of them. Tons of fun apps. I mean, there's Telegram, Instagram, Rumble, Kick. I don't know. I can't even tell you all of them. LinkedIn, TikTok. There's just so many things. YouTube, X, True Social, MeWe. I mean, I can't even fathom how many there are out there. But there's one for everybody, basically. But the best thing that you can ever have is real people, you know. Join a bowling league or sign up for a book club or, something like that. There's plenty of people to hang out with, but don't go places with people you don't know. Don't sign up online to meet somebody somewhere and then you show up and you're the only one. Don't go in. Stay safe. Use your common sense on keeping yourself out of trouble and away from potential problems. Yeah. Oh, yeah. MySpace. I used to have MySpace years and years ago, and I loved it. It played music when you went there, and I had it all set up. It was so much fun, and then on one day it was just not there anymore. So I don't have Facebook. I got rid of Facebook a long time ago, and I've never had the urge to go back. So I can't communicate with my sisters on that. What's it called? Messenger, because I don't have Facebook, so I can't have Messenger. So it's just there's something for everyone out there, but you just have to go look for it. But I'm finished talking about the Texas killing fields. I shared everything that I had, except for the one thing that I lost on accident because I deleted it. The whole thing about how many serial killers are active in what states, and it had a list of past serial killers that killed lots of people and stuff. And it's really sad when you go through it and it's like, good grief, we've had a lot. And how many lives were taken by those people. It's sad. And then you have people, this is another thing that disgusts me, and I can't believe people do it. They wear t-shirts with serial killers on them, and they wear it with pride. I've seen shirts with Manson on them, Che Guevara, trying to think of some of these other ones. That guy that dressed like a clown, what was his name? Gacy. I've seen one with Jeffrey Dahmer on it. It's not a funny joke when you're wearing a shirt that gives a hoo-hoo to a serial killer. It's not funny, that kind of stuff isn't funny. And if I saw somebody wearing one of those, I wouldn't want to talk to them, because anyone that would wear that is not a person that I would feel is a safe person for me to hang around with. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to, but it's America, so people can pretty much wear what they want. Well, unless you're an American kid going to American high school that has a lot of Hispanics in it from another country or whatever, and they don't like the fact that you're wearing a United States flag shirt on Cinco de Mayo, which is ridiculous. It's the United States of America. And I would be pissed off if I was a parent and they made my kid turn his shirt inside out because he had an American flag on his shirt. They'd be sorry. They messed with this mother. I can tell you right now, if they did something like that to my kid. Meetup is a nice to find group of people. I found a nice group to play DD with. You play DD. I do too. They call it different names, and that's what's so hard, because I play Pathfinder. At least that's what I try to explain to people, is I play Dungeons and Dragons. But it's games that they wrote themselves, and they've used different things from different, I guess, things when you're dungeon master and you're writing your own stuff. You're putting a little here, a little there, making it or whatever. So, sometimes they get mad at you if you call it Pathfinder, and they get mad at you if you call it Dungeons and Dragons. So I just say, I'm playing Bruce's game. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, I play every Saturday, and it's fun. And that's what I do. This is my social life, people. I play a game all day Saturday live with dice, and I have right here, see, it's a dice tower. And we have real dice that we roll in here. You just drop them in and they come out, so I'm a real nerd. Yes, I am. And I actually play that. And then on Sunday, I do movie reviews. And sometimes I dress up as a character from the movie that we're reviewing or in theme, depending on whatever we're reviewing. And we're going to be reviewing, it's called Hang 'em High on Sunday. And we invite people to Discord to watch the movie with us if they want. And then we talk about it for a little while afterward. And then Bruce and I do a review on it after that. So it's a lot of fun. And that's what I do on Sunday. And then on Thursday, I try to do a show like either the late night circus, or I do after hours or teen shit show, depending on the content of the show. Or I can do cosmic talk, where I get to dress up in my alien costume, which I love to do that. And then Friday, I do the Friday night shit show, and it's all politics basically. So that's my life. And then if I have some jobs, then I don't get to have a show. So because work comes first, right? And it's been I went 2 weeks and didn't have a Friday night shit show because I was busy. So it just depends on, I do this stuff just like I do a social life, like going to the movies or going bowling with my friends or whatever. It's in between work, because if you gotta work and make money and pay your bills, you're gonna do that. So that comes first. But that's what I tried to do, and do this part. It's my social life, I guess. This is what I do, to talk whatever gets up off my chest, or talk about things that I think are important or interesting. And that's what this is. So thank you guys for hanging out with me for 2 hours basically while I talked about this stuff. And then I go off on my little tangents or whatever. That's just what I do. I can't help it. That's just me. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who did hang out for a little bit. And hope I didn't bore you too much. But it was really good to see that somebody was arrested for 2 of the murders, their involvement in it. Not saying that they did the murder, but they were involved because their DNA was found at the crime scene or on the bodies, because they were able to match it through the genealogy websites or whatever. So, whatever. I thought that was really good. And it's nice to see Kash Patel posting about it, because he said this was the second case or whatever they were able to arrest people for since they started doing it, some of the stuff for the cold cases. So I think it's wonderful. And to see him posting about it and trying to get it out there so people can see that they're doing something, that your government's actually trying to make it as less, as more transparent as possible, so we know what's going on and to keep us informed. But I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I appreciate everybody hanging out or whatever, and I hope that you'll come back and see me again. And I hope that if you get a chance to click the like button at least. You don't have to subscribe to me, but if you did watch the show for a little while and you thought it was entertaining, at least give me a like on YouTube or whatever, or any of the apps. If you're on Rumble or if you're on X, it would help, because it's funny, because I've got 12,000 followers on X, and I've had that many followers for like almost 2 years, because I'm not growing. So I think I've ghosted because they don't like that. I'm so much politics or whatever. X doesn't like me, and I get a lot of people reporting me, a lot of liberals that hate what I have to say and hate me. I get death threats. I've gotten lots of death threats on YouTube. I was told for Mother's Day, I got this wonderful thing that said, "Happy Mother's Day, Janet. It's a shame I can't understand a word you say because you have Trump's dick in your mouth." I get wonderful stuff like that. So I hope that makes you feel good to say horrible things to a person simply because you don't agree with what they say, instead of just turning the channel. It's that simple. Just turn the page or swipe the other direction or whatever, because you don't have to listen. You don't have to say anything. Just say nothing. That's what my mother always said. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I try to do that with other people. If I don't like what they're saying, I just leave the space or I just go to the next page. I'm not tying you down with chains and making you listen to me. So if you don't want to hear, don't listen. It's that simple. Lots of grown-ups are able to do that, but apparently people that like to leave these messages aren't grown-ups, or they may be a grown-up body-wise, but they're very immature and don't know how to deal with rejection, or they don't know how to deal with somebody not accepting their point of view as the gospel. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't like what I say, don't listen. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep because you don't like me. Oh, that ain't going to happen. So I'm going to sleep like a baby. So you guys have a wonderful night. And guess what? Tomorrow is the first day of the weekend, basically. I'd say I always say Friday and Saturday. That's my weekend. But hope you guys have a great Friday and stay out of trouble. See you later, and God bless America.